Tonight's program is a machine gun of invoices. You've been warned. For the last few weeks here, there have been a number of people who have been very upset about the fact that white supremacy is a guilty pleasure for them, and we have been ruining their guilty pleasure week by week. Well, it's going to get a whole lot worse for you. You've been upset that I've been ruining your guilty pleasures, and after tonight, you'll be even more angry. You see, I've spent the majority of my time of the last few weeks here since we set off the Pearly Things scandal not talking about Pearly Things. I've actually only done 2 programs that spoke about her specifically. The rest of actually only one program that spoke about her specifically and another program that spoke about her in general. My programs actually have been about all of the people around her because I've been trying to help everyone understand the narrative. The narrative is, do you see why I've spent so much of my time talking about other people other than her? I'm talking about the people around her who propped her up, the people who dedicated their channels to propping that up, but more importantly, to make the point that this is bigger than Pearly Things. Well, Jason, what do you mean by it's bigger than her? Because I've been saying it here the whole time. This is bigger than Pearly Things. You see, YouTube has an entire infrastructure. YouTube's website is set up for the purposes of boosting individuals with anti-black and white supremacist sentiments. Now, most of them have to speak in code language, and it's code language that we document very quickly and very easily, but they speak in code language. And that code language gets passed around from one place to another. So it's like this cult. And the thing is that this is about YouTube and its culture of boosting and creating white supremacist and white supremacist adjacent media channels. This isn't just about Pearly Things. It's bigger than her, which is the point that I've been making for weeks now. That YouTube and its culture of white supremacy and all the dozens of other channels besides Pearly Things, that's been the whole point that we've been making here. And on tonight's program, we're going to deal with a few of these things in particular. What I want to start you off with here is this channel here, Trigonometry. Now, I gotta tell you, I didn't even know who they were, and I wasn't really inclined to even look into it. But it just so happens that somehow, apparently, I found myself getting sucked in that rabbit hole there too. Because Pearly Things makes an appearance on Trigonometry, and we're going to go into this in a way that nobody else has here. So if you're not watching this program tonight, you're going to be so far behind, it's going to be unfortunate. But she went on their program, and she was, of course, sitting up there splaining and trying to save herself. And to call it cringe would be kind. To call it disastrous would be honest. It was an absolute disaster for her. I advised Pearly weeks ago that what she needed to do was shut up and quit talking. Very clearly, whoever's in charge of her management, she needs to fire them, whether they work for Candace Owens or not, because they are sorely not serving her well at all. But in any case, she decided to go ahead and open her pie hole and keep talking. But I don't want to talk about Pearly Things because that would be too simple and it would not be the whole story. I do not want to talk about Pearly Things. I want to talk about these two. Our brother Neely Fuller, for those of you who are not familiar with him, Neely Fuller told us all something during the Charlottesville riots. He said, white supremacy always takes both sides of an argument. White supremacy always takes both sides of an argument. And what you see on your screen right here, this is the quintessential example of exactly what Brother Neely Fuller was talking about. You've got 2 groups of anti-black individuals, and I will bring all the receipts here in just a moment. 2 groups of anti-black individuals, and both of them are pretending that they are not what they are. So they're literally sitting here in a room arguing with each other over supporting white supremacy, but not doing it, but doing it, but not doing it. And it was incredibly confusing, but at the same time, interesting to watch. Kind of like a car wreck that runs over another car wreck. So Pearly Things decides to come out of hiding. And in reality, I think this interview was already scheduled before she blew herself up. This interview apparently was already scheduled. So they wound up talking to her because it was already scheduled. She didn't have the good sense to cancel the interview. She decided to go, but apparently she gave herself Jenny Jones makeover. Apparently she did. She gave herself a Jenny Jones makeover. She went and she got her hair colored. She got her hair colored. She tried to put on some makeup, apparently. Like I say, it was not best of form. I'm not dunking on anybody. I'm just saying that part of it didn't go very well, but she showed up anyway. She wanted to look like a different person. Okay, fine. She got there and she talked to them. And at the end of the interview, that's when they finally start asking her about Nick Fuentes in the video. But here's the issue. The issue is what we've always been saying here. It ain't about Nick Fuentes. This is about Pearly Things saying that slavery was exaggerated, slavery was embellished. And what nobody else has talked about from this trigonometry interview, no one else has said this. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of hers or not. These guys established themselves as fellow travelers in the world of white supremacy, which is what I mentioned here. Now, what I want to do is I want to play for you some of what she said. We're going to go through this here. I'm going to play for you some of what she said. And it's good to have here because I want you to understand who you're dealing with. If you had never heard of these guys before, and like I say, their channel's not huge. Some folks are making the comment that Pearly Things, didn't she say that she wasn't going to talk to any more channels if they didn't have 1 million subscribers? These guys have only got 500,000, but it's because she agreed to talk to them before she blew herself up. Okay. Here's a clip of them talking to her. When they talk to her, I want you to hear what they had to say right here. And listen to what they say and what they don't talk about, because it really tells you everything.
Slavery, it got embellished, and you were sort of going, I can see your point. And that's what I found a bit confusing, because I don't know who that is.
Dr. Umar has like the same opinions as Nick. Like, he doesn't believe in race mixing too. He's just...
So she's talking about, she decides to try to save herself. She wants to bring Dr. Umar Johnson into it.
Like one with Dr. Umar, but he didn't want to come. Sad.
Who's Dr. I don't know.
But surely isn't that the risk?
I wanted to do like one with Dr. Umar, but he didn't want to come. Sad.
Who's Dr. I don't know who that is.
Now they're lying. These two clowns right here, you know they're both lying. They know exactly who Dr. Umar Johnson is. By the way, I'm just going to say it right now. These two are lying, but they're pretending that they don't know, because that's the way that the internet works, is folks who you are afraid of and intimidated by, you pretend you don't know they exist, but they know exactly who Umar Johnson is. If they know who a little guy like Nick Fuentes is, they know who Umar Johnson is, but they have a vested interest in pretending that they don't know. But Pearly Things, to try to save herself, she sits up here and throws his name out there. That's the one side of the white supremacy. The other side of the white supremacy, ooh, who is Umar Johnson? We don't know. Then they go back to talking to her again.
Dr. Umar has like the same opinions as Nick. Like, he doesn't believe in race mixing too. He's just black.
Yeah.
So she's comparing Umar Johnson to Nick Fuentes, which is patently false and intellectually dishonest. We already know that she's a white supremacist and a liar, and these two are going along with it there. But by the way, yeah. So she's not just playing dumb anymore. Now she's just saying, man, look here, I'm already in free fall. Let me just go ahead and freestyle my way through this.
I don't know who that is.
Dr. Umar has like the same opinions as Nick. Like, he doesn't believe in race mixing too. He's just black.
Yeah.
That's like a common, yeah.
Yeah, there are some people who believe that, sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you were talking about the Holocaust with him, he was saying it's like slavery, it got embellished, and you were sort of going, I can see your point. And that's what I found a bit confusing, because then in your apology, you said, well, I wasn't really educated on these things.
But
it sounds like you're kind of taking that back now.
There's a statement coming out on everything, so you guys just have to wait for it.
Yeah.
Boy, don't she look so scared, doesn't she? I mean, she looks terrified, and this is why she shouldn't have done this. That expression on your face right there, you look so frightened. You shouldn't have done this interview. But you notice he mentions about slavery being embellished and exaggerated, and then he keeps on going. He doesn't stop. He doesn't take issue with that. Matter of fact, he doesn't seem to have much of an issue with that at all. I wonder why that is.
Go ahead.
From our perspective, we're kind of saying to you what we thought you might have said to him, which is if a guest says or does something controversial, you kind of want to ask and find out why they've done that. And we have to by the way, if this is coming across as confrontational, that's not the intention at all, because whenever I see a guest not be challenged enough on someone's show, I often think there, but by the grace of God go I, because we've had people on the show who've said controversial things and I've sort of missed the moment and I kind of didn't challenge them enough and I felt bad about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're...
I wonder if that's very, very interesting here, Mr. Constantine Kissin. Mr. Constantine Kissin, that's very interesting, sir, that you would say that. I wonder if you can give us an example of somebody who was on your show and they said something that was controversial and that you wish that you would push back on that. Folks, this is bigger than pearly things. Take it from the guy who broke this story. Take it from the guy who set this off. You all are missing the forest for the trees if you do not keep in mind that this is bigger than pearly things. This is substantially bigger than her. So Mr. Constantine Kissin here, that's his name, he's got something to say about a controversial guest on his program before. I wonder who they are and what they said.
Remember, because you're not a political person, you might not. There was a guy called Darren Grimes who had a guy called Dr. David Starkey on, and he said something about how, of course, slavery wasn't genocide, otherwise there wouldn't be so many damn blacks in the West. Right. And that got picked up by all the media and they all had to go at him. And I just saw a fairly young, inexperienced interviewer in Darren failed to challenge someone who he looked up to and respected on what was just a bad phrasing more than anything. Right.
Now, did you hear this Constantine Kissin? Did you hear what he just said? Defending slavery. Oh, well, it wasn't genocide because there's so many damn black people running around. Well, that was just a poor phrasing. Remember, this is what they all said. All the folks who were trying to defend pearly things before now. All the people who were trying to defend her before now, if you'll remember, they were saying words like ignorant. Doesn't know what she's talking about, really. She's not racist. She's just ignorant. No, is she racist in my opinion? No. All the folks who were saying those things then. So you're starting to hear that again. Folks, this is bigger than YouTube. I mean, this is bigger than pearly things on YouTube. This is bigger than her is the point I'm making. There's a whole bunch of these channels that have been out here floating around for a while. And other folks are doing collaborations with them and everything else. This circle of alt-right philosophy and alt-right collaborators and fellow travelers, this is way bigger than pearly things and Adam 22 is what I'm trying to tell you. And even though it seems like they are at odds with her, understand these are folks arguing over how we should phrase and transport white supremacy. And he just sat there and told you that calling slavery genocide, well, I mean, that's just a bad phrasing. That what he's saying is slavery was not genocide. It wasn't genocide. Oh, take a look at how many black folk here. Because there's some black folks still around, that means it wasn't genocide, right? Right? YouTube is a hotbed, and just like San Francisco is a tech incubator, YouTube is a tech incubator of white supremacy. YouTube is a tech incubator of white supremacy and white supremacists. That's what they are. So this guy, Constantine Kissin, sat right there and let you know, by the way, he's here to cover up and apologize. He's sitting up here they're all trying to figure out how they can say these heinous anti-black racist things and then say, oh, well, this is perfectly fine. You all just didn't understand it properly. You know, it was just poorly phrased. If we could just explain it to you better, you'd understand why it's correct. Now, that's all rather ironic considering Mr. Kissin's background. Oh, we'll come to that.
About how, of course, slavery wasn't genocide, otherwise there wouldn't be so many damn blacks in the West, right? And that got picked up by all the media and they all had to go at him. And I just saw a fairly young, inexperienced interviewer in Darren failed to challenge someone who he looked up to and respected on what was just a bad phrasing more than anything, right? So I totally understand why you may have missed something or not have jumped in on something that you maybe felt that you should have jumped in on. But the reason that Francis and I would never have Nick Fuentes on is precisely because he says all that shit all the time. So if you were to actually challenge him on some of his abhorrent views, you'd spend the entire 3 hours doing that.
Did you watch the full video?
I watched some of it, not the full video. Yeah.
Interesting. So he doesn't know who Umar Johnson is. He claims he didn't watch the whole interview, and yet he's here to grill her about it. Well, that sounds like he didn't do his due diligence. Sounds like he didn't do his due diligence at all. Not even a little bit. So I wonder if it's going to get worse from here. I have a feeling it's going to get worse. Well, Jason, how do you know it's going to get worse? I got a feeling.
Like about race mixing, and they did a whole panel on it.
But then he was denying the Holocaust.
You know, that was crazy. That was...
But that's what he does. That's why I'm asking you.
Well,
why?
but we brought him on to talk about race mixing. That's what we brought him on, because it's a relationship show. And then we just interviewed him because he was there.
But there will be people, Pearl, who will say... Well,
now, did you hear what she said? They interviewed him for a relationship show. Who needs to have a white supremacist there to talk about relationships? What the hell? Talk about The Odd Couple. But see, because relationships are a hot market on YouTube, she said, oh, this would be a good place to start mixing him in. I mean, he's in his 20s. And if people don't ask too many questions, they'll bring him in and they'll be fine. But by the way, when it comes to the Holocaust, he's not nearly as conciliatory about that.
Well, if you're going to bring that person on, and look, again, this isn't to, misrepresent or do any of those types of things. The reason we have this show is so we can talk and have honest conversations, because part of this is for me to clarify my thinking about different issues. That's why we do the show. But part of it is also when you bring someone on, you can't also ignore that element of it. Do you see what I mean?
I just don't know what you mean by ignore.
No, because if you're not addressing the fact that he's a Holocaust denier, then you're ignoring that. Do you see what I mean?
I mean, I don't.
Now, you notice they keep going back to Nick Fuentes and denying the Holocaust. Nick Fuentes and the Holocaust. What about Pearl's statements of her own? You notice I mentioned this here before with Valuetainment. Oh, I'm coming for you too today, Adam. I'm coming for you too. Round 2. Coming back around for you. But you notice he did the same smarmy thing. He did the same sleazy thing. Everybody's talking about Pearl's statements against black people, but when you talk to them, all of a sudden they flipped it and it's all about Nick Fuentes and the Holocaust. So they all got together to deflect and distract. I wonder if there's a reason for this.
Agree that the Holocaust didn't happen.
Yeah, no,
That's reassuring. Yeah, good.
I mean, I was just listening to him.
Yeah.
And I think you're allowed to listen to people that you might not agree with. And I think as women, we're more agreeable than men. So a lot of times you might take it as me agreeing, but no, I didn't.
Well, you did say, so it's kind of like slavery, it's been embellished.
I was talking about how people use atrocities to control people. And I was quoting Thomas Sowell, who's a black author. Who
I'm
said the same
I'm a
thing.
big fan of Thomas Sowell. Yeah.
So I was quoting.
Oh, well, that was interesting, Mr. Kissin. Oh, you're a big fan of Thomas Sowell. So you claim you don't know who Dr. Umar Johnson is, lies up and down, but all of a sudden you know who Thomas Sowell is. Well, ain't that convenient? That's very convenient of you. You don't know Dr. Umar Johnson, but what do you know? Once again, I'm very good on Thomas Sowell. Do you all notice that she did the same thing? Love Thomas Sowell. Oh, I love Ben Shapiro. I love Candace Owens. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at this character here for a moment. Mr. Konstantin Kissin. Now, while I was preparing for this program a few days ago, there was another video that YouTube sent to me from a channel that I never seen before. And I'm like, why in the hell is YouTube sending me this video from a channel I'd never seen before, especially for a subject matter that I'm not particularly interested in? It was a channel called Endymion. And I'm like, what in the hell is YouTube recommending this to me for? And then it became clear to me why woke media is dying. All right, I'm already sniffing alt-right and white supremacist around here. You're going to try to intellectualize white supremacy. But they sent me this video, and if you let the video play, I was like, well, I think I figured out why it got sent to me. This rabbit hole of racism that YouTube builds into its algorithm, because that is what YouTube is based on and what YouTube promotes. And they're trying to find all these different ways of dressing up white supremacy. But just understand, YouTube is a white supremacist organ. Here's what Endymion TV had to say and how it connects perfectly to why it was recommended to me after I started looking at trigonometry.
And folk that they know better than them. That we need to reduce our carbon emissions, eat bugs, and live in a pod, while they fly in private jets that produce more carbon emissions than you'll do in a lifetime. One of these people who's fighting the good fight is Konstantin Kisin, the co-creator of the YouTube channel Trigonometry. He's a Jewish man born in the former Soviet Union, and he too believes that free speech is the single most important thing we should fight for. And
well, oh boy, Jason brought all of his invoices tonight, didn't he? Yeah, I got all the invoices tonight.
Fighting the good fight is Konstantin Kisin, the co-creator of the YouTube channel Trigonometry. He's a Jewish man born in the former Soviet Union, and he too believes that free speech is the single most important thing we should fight for, and that woke identity politics will destroy our society if we allow it to continue down its path. After you watch this video, go watch some of the things he said, because he's fighting the good fight like me and so many others.
Well, you know what, sir? I took you up on your offer. I went to go do that. White supremacy dripping and oozing off of him. White supremacy absolutely dripping and oozing off of him to a disgusting degree. It was shameful.
Not have jumped in on something that you maybe felt that you should have jumped in on, but the reason that Francis and I would never have Nick Fuentes on is precisely because he says all that shit all the time. So,
oh, interesting, by the way, sir, didn't you just say that this Konstantin Kisin is big on free speech? Didn't you just sit up here and applaud him and laud him as being this icon of free speech, and that he understands the dangers of not having free speech?
A lifetime. One of these people who's fighting the good fight is Konstantin Kisin, the co-creator of the YouTube channel Trigonometry. He's a Jewish man born in the former Soviet Union, and he too believes that free speech is the single most important thing we should fight for. And
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, y'all sit up here and tell these lies on YouTube. You put up all these videos passing around these lies and falsehoods on YouTube. But by the way, yeah, I did go check out your man's channel, and we don't need to talk to Nick Fuentes because he says all that S. Well, interesting. He loves free speech as long as it's not going in on his people. So he's all for free speech as long as it's against black people. Now, he's all for that. He's all for that, and he loves freedom of speech as long as it's anti-black. If it's anti-black, it's good. Kind of reminds me of somebody else here. Oh, by the way, and I'm just starting here. We'll have more to say about trigonometry later, but I wanted to just take this as an opportunity to show you all that other folks didn't talk about this during that interview. They didn't talk about that. They didn't latch on the fact that, by the way, because so many folks were going off of sound. I noticed this on YouTube. People go off of sound bites from other people's channels. The whole reason I was able to blow this story wide open was because I actually could be bothered to go sit and listen to the entire interview that she did with Nick Fuentes. Other folks just saw that she had on Nick Fuentes and didn't listen to it. I actually sat down and listened to the whole 3 hours. And because I did, I wasn't relying on sound bites from somebody else's YouTube channel. So you see, because nobody else went and actually sat down, and very few of these people actually listened and sat down and heard the whole interview on trigonometry. That's why you didn't hear anybody else play the sound clips that I just did. Trigonometry is sounding just like the alt-right. Even though they've got a Jewish person as their front person, they're talking just like the alt-right. So the only racism, they're fine with racism as long as it targets black people. They will endorse racism. They support racism over there on trigonometry. Long as it targets black people, they support it. Soon as it starts targeting Jewish people, all of a sudden they have a problem with racism. But they have no problem enforcing and promoting racism against black people, just so long as it hits the folks you want to get. So that's the only issue they have with Pearl is, hey, you need to get on code. So they brought her there to take her to the woodshed to try to get her on code. Hey, you got to practice white supremacy like this, not the way you doing it. And we need to make sure that we got to tighten up your white supremacy principles and philosophies and execution for you. We're just here to tighten it up. Just here to tighten it up. I want to talk here about the other Jewish white supremacists in the room over there at Valuetainment. Oh, snap. Here we go. Thought I let them off the hook. Oh, hell no. By the way, if you all agree with what I'm saying here tonight, that we know who the devil in the room is, I want you to give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button. It's almost 4,000 people in here right now. Almost 4,000 people in here right now and only 1,400 likes. Let's hit the likes button here. Let's not play around about this. Some folks may not be happy. I'm not talking about pearly things tonight. No, I'm talking about all of her fellow travelers. I'm talking about all of her enablers. I'm talking about all of her collaborators. And that's what I've been focusing on ever since I hit my original video. Folks, y'all need to play these whole videos so you can see just how many folks who hate us and despise us that YouTube is turning into millionaires. YouTube is using its algorithm to empower anti-black racists across the board. They are using it to make them into multi-millionaires because they know that you can't keep white supremacy going if it's not well funded. That's the reason why Pearl had to be plugged into an algorithm and YouTube just gave her as many hundreds of thousands of subscribers as she needed to fake it like she's a lot more influential than she is. We came along and showed that we're more influential with 70,000 subscribers than she is with 1 million. Why is it YouTube's never explained why she's so uninfluential? Because this is about getting her money, because they're like, hey, we got to prop up as many of them financially as we can. But she's just one among many is the point I'm making. She's just one among many. So if you all don't like this tonight, go ahead and sign off and go to your guilty pleasures while she's over there talking about you like a dog. But if these are the invoices you all want to hear and see, hit the likes button for me tonight. Now back over there at another Jewish white supremacist, by the way. Oh, Adam over there at Valuetainment Money. Now, you all remember here last week, I took Adam to the woodshed. Remember, just last week, I was taking Adam to the woodshed because he was talking about this interview in Business Insider.
As Andrew Tate languishes in jail, this article is obviously prior to him being released on house arrest. A new celebrity anti-feminist creator is filling the gap. Unlike him, she's a woman. So we all know that we're a big fan of Pearl.
Right.
Here's some highlights that's going on. So before Tate, it was Kevin Samuels that was sort of the face of the red pill. We all know our friend Rollo.
Now, he's not reading from the article. This is just him talking on his own. You remember I was taking him to the woodshed about that last week. They just skip over Kevin Samuels. They go to Andrew Tate and Pearly things. And he tries to skip over Kevin Samuels. And I was like, okay, very interesting, because Business Insider never did an article like that. And Kevin wasn't a friend of your program. So here they are. Now, this was last week I talked about them. What do y'all damn well know? Why, there's a new video now on Valuetainment Money specifically about Kevin Samuels. Like they're trying to get some Kevin Samuels street cred now. all of a sudden, Adam is doubling down. He's all of a sudden desperate to get some Kevin Samuels street cred. You wasn't talking about Kevin like that before. Now, why is it all of a sudden, since we did our video last week, all of a sudden you want to discuss Kevin all of a sudden? He wants to put a whole video about just Kevin. Why is that, Adam? Why is that all of a sudden you weren't interested in doing that before? Now all of a sudden you're hot and heavy to do that? Was it something we said? Don't worry, they're going to tell you that they never heard of Jason Black either, even though they're mentioning a scandal that I exposed, and now they're following up on something I said last week. Understand, your fear is tangible, Adam. I'm just getting started on you and Valuetainment tonight.
The more and more I see of Kevin Samuels, wow, what a gift he was.
Really? Interesting, because just last week, you had your lips firmly slapped around Pearly Things' flat butt cheeks. All of it. Last week, Pearly Things was the it person. Now you're coming back talking about, the more I see of Kevin Samuels, the more I realize what a gift he was. Dude, you're not even a competent panderer. You're not even a competent suck up. You ain't got the credentials to sit up here and do this, man. You don't even sound genuine. You'd have been better off just saying nothing at all.
The more and more I see of Kevin Samuels, wow, what a gift he was. So here's a video where he's discussing.
Amazing all these white folk who've learned Kevin Samuels' name since he died, and since the internet picked him up since he died and wouldn't let it go. Amazing how that happened, isn't it? Amazing how that happened. They picked it up and just wouldn't let it go. Wonder why that was. After all this time, now they've all started learning his name.
The more and more I see of Kevin Samuels, wow, what a gift he was. So here's a video where he's discussing with a quote-unquote delusional woman what she wants. Okay, let's play this video. Volume, please.
Yep.
And that's definitely going to be able to pay the bills, like take care of me. But I still want to be able to have the option to work and do like my career, have a career and still have kids.
Okay, so
Pause it.
you want it all.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. She wants a guy to provide her, but she also wants the option to do what she wants to do and live her best life. She wants it all. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Okay, how much money is a man going to need to make to be able to pay all the bills for a family of 4?
Probably well over 400K.
What percentage of men in this country make over $400,000?
I would say maybe 2 to 4%. Probably not a lot.
Wow.
1.
Okay.
1%. So let's go back to what you said.
By the way,
I feel.
Pause it. Just to be clear, the guys who are making that money for the most part are well into their 40s.
Right.
How many 20-year-olds, other than there's some Dogecoin nerd that hit it big, are making 400 grand in their 20s or even their 30s? Not many. Okay? Less than 1% because of a macro perspective. The entire United States, only 1% of all men are making, or of all people, are making 400 grand or more, close to $500,000. So let's just see what she says about that.
Men don't care about what you feel. We think, act, and do. Men hit the financial stride between 45 and 55. Are you prepared to marry a man that's 45 years old or older?
No.
So you're a delusional black woman.
I want a man that.
What I would say is this. He called her a delusional black woman. I would just say that she is a delusional woman. Because the only thing I would want to know, if she's looking for that type of dude, that she wants it all, and she wants a guy, I would not.
Did you get that? Well, I wouldn't say she's a delusional black woman. So this guy here who I already showed you all last week, this is one of these Jewish alt-right dudes. Pearly Things, racism against black people is just fine. He was another one, slavery is embellished. He's another one who had no issue with that. He wanted to turn the conversation to Nick Fuentes, but when his mixed co-host said something about slavery being embellished, he got all quiet. So once again, you notice how he's slipping in his anti-black racism. You notice how he's doing it again. So he just said, well, I wouldn't say that she's a delusional black woman, but you went and got a clip of him saying that. Why is it that was so important? He knew what he was looking for. So their thing is to throw the racism out there first. And then after they throw it out there, well, I'm not saying I agree with that. Yeah, just like Pearly things. I'm not saying I agree about denying the Holocaust, but I just don't think all of it's right. Or, yeah, this is the tactic that they use. Now, because you have a lot of suck butt groupie Negroes out there, they're willing to give this a pass. Well, if I can get on their channel and get some exposure, I can get my numbers up and, you got to play the game. So there are a bunch of soft shoeing, boot licking Negroes out there who will buck dance all damn day. You didn't find us over here, unfortunately. But I just wanted to show you there that after he played that long clip, that the real thing was about getting to the end of it. Well, I didn't call her a delusional black woman. Why, Kevin said that. Let me tell y'all something. There is a difference between what we say amongst each other versus what we say to the dominant society. There is a difference between what we say amongst each other versus what we say in front of the dominant society. There's a big difference. It is one thing for a black man with an affinity to black women and what he says to a black woman versus what you say to or coming from members of the dominant society who are not a part of our community whatsoever. There's a big difference about that. I am the only person on the internet who has the level of credibility to say these kind of things I have to say because I was no friend or fan of Kevin Samuels when he was alive, and I've never pretended to be one since. However, I will be damned if I will sit back here and watch distortions of things that I know are not true. And anybody who was stomping on his grave and that they happy he's dead stuff, Vivica Fox, y'all already saw me sit up here and blowtorch her last year. Y'all can go to hell. Any of y'all on that mess right there, you can already go to hell. Because by the way, your lives didn't get any better and nothing improved for you. You're just as fat, ugly, and alone as you were last year. Only now you're fatter, uglier, and lonelier. But all right. But by the way, all these folks jumping up here to say, okay, how can we twist this and use this? And now here you got suspected white supremacists jumping up here. Well, I'm not saying it. All of a sudden he's concerned about black women. Hey, if you want to go find a clip with Kevin Samuels, why don't you go find those clips of Kevin Samuels talking to those white women, Adam? There are several clips of Kevin Samuels talking to white women, hell, some Asian women. Why is it you all, if this is about women, why didn't you go digging up those clips? There's plenty of them. Made plenty of waves on Fresh and Fit for what he said to a couple of white women, and yet you didn't go look for those. You bypassed those, and you went to go find some videos with some black women. So don't look now. Your Klan robes are showing, which is pretty awkward for a Jewish fella, but you found a way to slip them on, so slow clap. Congratulations. But we see what you're doing. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't accidental. You're sitting up here trying to burnish your credentials. This is bigger than pearly things, people. If you're here because I blew open the original scandal and you haven't been listening to all the videos that I've made since, then you're not getting the point. This is bigger than pearly things. That's the point I've been trying to make now, going on a month. This is bigger than her. During that program, I talked about Adam 22 over there on No Jumper. Nobody, that part that he said didn't catch on, if you all remember. Did the same in the exact same program when I talked about him. He's sitting up here co-signing Richard Spencer's racism from 2016. Not the so-called reform Richard Spencer today, but he was defending Richard Spencer's comments during Charlottesville. I showed that during the program. Same one I did with Pearly Things. But because there are a bunch of folks who are looking for, well, if I can be on his program, ooh, boy, I get my numbers up. They're real quiet. They're real quiet about that. So what they're like is, okay, I'm play the game and keep my head low. And if he says something really racist, hopefully it won't catch on and get passed around and go viral. So I can just keep on pretending to play the game. And that is what duplicitous, devious little folk like Adam 22 and this fella here depend on. They depend on this, which is why I'm taking out the time to show you all. They didn't have no love for Kevin Samuels. If they had love for Kevin Samuels, they wouldn't have had Rollo Tomasi on their damn program. I was the source for Kevin. Kevin was the source for Rollo. You can't have me on. Okay, you could have had Kevin on. At least let him imitate what he heard. You could have done that. But they didn't do that either. Y'all ask yourselves some questions. They didn't have no love for him like that. They didn't love him. They weren't quoting him. Fit, feminine, friendly, all the acronyms he made up. They wasn't saying none of that then. Now, because his influence has endured and is a meme that gets passed around Instagram and TikTok so frequently, now all of a sudden y'all love Kevin Samuels. All of a sudden you clout chasing. Y'all didn't love Kevin. They had Rollo on a bunch of times, didn't they? They didn't love Kevin. They had Rollo on a number of times. They had Rollo on a number of times. There's a reason for that. They're not playing no games. So don't believe them now. All of a sudden, they Kevin Samuels fans. Get the hell out of here.
No.
So you're a delusional black woman.
I want a man that.
What I would say is this. He called her a delusional black woman. I would just say that she is a delusional woman. Because the only thing I would want to know, if she's looking for that type of dude, that she wants it all, and she wants a guy, I would not take a guy in his mid to late 40s. I want a guy in his 30s. Tell me why he's going to pick her.
Yeah.
Tell me why he's going to pick her. Is she the baddest chick that walks in the room? Is she the most feminine? Is she the sweetest? She's got the best attitude. Is she bringing anything to the table? She pretty much said that she wasn't. So why would the guy pick her? But every woman, I'm not going to say every woman, wants that type of guy, that 1%.
Don't you hate seeing somebody who's just a poor imitation? If you all want to know why it is that there were so many of you, I mean, you gotta hold this L. You were kind of shameless butt kissers too a year ago, and you were like, well, Jason, does it matter who said it? Yeah, it does matter who said it. This right here is your proof. It matters who said it, because when you allow somebody to take an original philosophy and dilute it and water it down and corrupt it and take it out of its context, this is what the hell you end up with. So for some of you who were just shameless butt kissers a year ago and you didn't like what I was saying about Kevin then, by the way, this is the reason why I said that. Everybody needs to cite their sources. Say who you got that from. Say who you got it from so that everybody understands the context in which you're saying these things. That's the point. What is the context in which you're saying it? Because that matters. Let me show you something more relevant. For those of you who are kind of thick-headed and you're just really some really dumb, brain-dead clout chasers, for the ADHD kids in the back of the room, this is why it matters, and this is key to what I'm talking about here tonight. This comes back to pearly things, and it's a shame it's got to be explained to you in boxcar letters and little third grade English, but I guess we'll go ahead and slow it down for you.
A boss chick. I'm 26.
Okay.
Currently single. So, I mean, you were explaining to women that they are wasting their years being a boss chick. Why can't I build my life the way I want it without potentially just being a side chick?
What do you want?
A husband eventually.
Eventually when?
Definitely before I hit 30.
So in 3 years, 8 months or so, you want to have a husband.
Yes.
How many children do you want to have?
I want 2 children.
Mm-hmm. Right. And after you're pregnant and married with your first child, do you want to have to work to pay significant bills?
I do not. I would prefer to be
cool.
paying for my kids.
So by your calculations, after marriage, you don't want to hit a lick. You want to stay at home and raise your kids. That means he has to pay the bills. Then what are you the boss for?
Well, I consider myself to be a boss.
Bang. Then what are you the boss of?
Wrong! Now, did you all just hear this? For the ADHD crack babies who didn't have a father in your life and you're just really undisciplined, what he just did is the reason why I was telling you all, hey, your sources matter. Who said this matters? Because did you hear that? He just messed it up just that quickly. Let me replay this again for the lead pipe babies, the skinny jeans wearing mama's boys, the combat boot wearing thoughts. Let me play this one more time.
By your calculations, after marriage, you don't want to hit a lick. You want to stay at home and raise your kids. That means he has to pay the bills. Then what are you the boss for?
Well, I consider myself to be.
He was saying, what are you the boss for? What are you the boss for? This stuff matters if you're going to try to put this in context. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What are you trying to be a boss for? What are you fighting to be a boss for if you don't actually want to be one? I'd love to tell you it stops there, but it doesn't. It doesn't, because I want to take a moment to talk about valuetainment. Valuetainment in particular. I want to have a moment to talk about this because this is who's paying for valuetainment money. Patrick Bet David, Lebanese Armenian fella. YouTube has spent a great deal of time promoting him and passing him around for years. And what do you know? Isn't it interesting that everybody that YouTube promotes, for the most part, the overwhelming majority of these people, Joe Rogan, Pearly, Things, Valuetainment, Trigonometry, you start seeing this PewDiePie. They all have this pattern of white supremacist alt-right philosophies. Now, you can't have that much going on with YouTube boosting it if that's not what YouTube's strategy and its goal and its policy is. YouTube has a policy of promoting white supremacy. Now, folks, once again, you know that I am no friend whatsoever of Roland the Boule Bird Martin. I am no friend of his at all. When I heard that jackass set his feet on Louisiana soil, last summer I drove from across the country to pull up. My videos are on Twitter and Facebook. I was driving literally day and night through the rain when I heard that he set his great big fat floppy feet on the soil I was born on in Louisiana. I said, oh, hell no, this will not stand. So for those of you who were there, you remember I drove day and night to get down to New Orleans. I'm chasing his big floppy ass all over the Superdome. Felt like Ice Cube. It feel like he got the whole country behind him, so it's sort of hard to find him. Y'all, he lost weight running from me. Left New Orleans so damn fast, he flipped over his little budget Sprinter van. So you know, once again, I am an impartial source. I am no friend of Roland Martin's. Not now, not next week, not ever. Don't wait for the damn get together in the unity meeting. Ain't coming. But Roland grilled, sauteed, and roasted Patrick Bet David. He exposed Patrick Bet David's racism. He exposed his anti-black tendencies and his anti-black principles. He exposed it. Patrick Bet David was denying housing racism, outright denying it, claiming that you don't have the stats, you don't have the numbers. I'll be damned. Roland Martin actually pulled a Jason Black. He pulled a Jason Black, and he showed just how invested in white supremacy that Patrick Bet David is. Once again, I'm an impartial source. I'm no friend of Roland Martin's. I'll let you listen to the relevant parts for yourselves here, starting at the beginning where Patrick Bet David tries to deny housing discrimination. In the year 2023, no, he outright tries to deny it.
Are you familiar with Palmdale? I'm going to need you to be drug tested. Seriously.
Yeah.
Do you even know today? We've done the stories in Florida. When somebody's black selling their house, the appraisers will come in and literally give them a value $100,000 to $300,000 less because they're black. You know that that's actually happened, right?
You'll take one story and say that.
Oh my God!
On how many occasions has that happened?
Now, did you hear that? Now, he just said, you take one story. How long has this guy been living in America? And he sits up here and says this oozing, dripping, putrid lie. Well, you take one story. Well, how many is it? So when he says how many is it, he's saying, well, show me the data, show me the numbers that prove that that's what it is. And to Roland Martin's credit, he was actually ready.
You to be drug tested. Seriously.
Yeah.
Do you even know today? We've done the stories in Florida. When somebody's black selling their house, the appraisers will come in and literally give them a value $100,000 to $300,000 less because they're black. You know that's actually happened, right?
You'll take one story and say that.
Oh my God!
On how many occasions has that happened?
Are you serious?
Do you think a message like
Okay, why don't you go ahead and Google? Why don't you go ahead and Google?
How many times has that happened? No, I believe it's happened, but how many times has that happened?
The New York Times literally just did a story talking about the systemic racism that exists within housing appraisals. This is a fundamental problem. I'm trying to see you're living in a different reality.
What progress are you making by saying that?
What progress?
So what should you?
I'm trying to end that.
Now, did you hear that? Well, what progress are you making by saying that? So all of a sudden, the guys on the right who claim that people are in their emotions all the time, now he's all of a sudden talking about your emotions. Did you get that? Well, what good does it do for you to point that out? What good does it do for you to point out racism? What good does it do to point out racism? How do you fix a problem if you don't face the problem? Unless, of course, Patrick Bet David is saying what we all know he's saying, that there is no problem. There's no problem with it. Everything's fine. Why do you have to point that out? There's no problem with racism. If it exists, oh well, everything's fine. Don't look now, Patrick. I can see why you and old Adam over here, I can see why that's your running buddy. I can see why that's your running buddy.
Okay. Do you know how inherent? Okay, hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
You're trying to.
Hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
I am, yes.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
Yes.
If you're selling your home, you've got a home that you know,
right?
And you put upgrades in it.
Okay, let me not just sit here because I really want to go fast forward. And what I want to do here is I want to go to the part you just heard Patrick Bet David say, where are your numbers on that?
Okay, why don't you go ahead and Google? Why don't you go ahead and Google?
How many times has that happened? No, I believe it's happened, but how many times has that happened?
The New York Times.
How many times? Well, I believe it's happened, but I mean, how many times has it happened? You know that in the 21st century, you're dealing with a white supremacist when they start denying that racism exists when you got the numbers. Folks, to his credit, for once in his big floppy butterball rotisserie built life, Roland Martin was ready. A few minutes later, because he asked Patrick Bet David to go Google this and put it up on their screen, his man never did, so Roland got on his phone and looked it up for himself.
And this is, again, since you did, I guess you couldn't pull it up, okay?
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay, the Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency, released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. You know why?
Hold up.
Let me tell you why that's such.
Now, did you hear that? He just sat here and said, by the way, we got the Federal Housing and Finance who's done an appraisal, has done a study on this from 2013 to 2021. This is the federal government saying, hey, we did a study on this, and yeah, we found that that's true. And he says, oh, that's BS. Now, he doesn't say why it's BS. Oh, that's BS. In other words, I'm white and I say so. Yes, Patrick, you're white. I'm white and I say so. He just showed him the damn evidence, cited the source. Oh, that's BS. So he just showed you a classic example of I'm white and I say so.
I guess you couldn't pull it up. Okay.
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay, the Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency, released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. You know why?
Hold up.
Let me tell you why that's such bullshit.
They actually took the reports and showed the data, and now you call it bullshit.
Of course I call it bullshit.
So wait a minute. So you asked for the data and the facts.
No.
And now you give your opinion
First of all,
because you don't like the facts.
Bro.
Come on, man.
Do you run a company?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so when you run a company, how much shit can I find in the OPEX? How much
in the what?
With OPEX. When I go into my balance sheet and I look at my expenses, my monthly expenses, what I'm paying for, rent, employees, benefits, workers' comp, I can give a number and say, we lost $280,000 this year. And it's like, oh my God, we lost $280,000. And then I open up the balance sheet and then boom, I'll see you're moving your face like you don't know what I'm talking about.
First of all, no,
when I see a data like this, tell me the whole story. To jump to conclusion with something like this without seeing the entire story is ludicrous to make a comment like that. But
so this basically is like when the police go around shooting unarmed people. Well, we haven't seen we don't have all the facts. We don't have all the information. He just gave you all the facts and all the information. We don't have more. We need to see more. We'll just keep looking until the story changes, is what he's saying.
Tell me the whole story. To jump to conclusion with something like this without seeing the entire story is ludicrous to make a comment like that. But
analyzing the millions of appraisals by using census tracts as a proxy for neighborhoods and comparing communities with nearly identical housing stock, two researchers found that the results showed a clear correlation. The higher the proportion of white residents in each community, the higher the appraised value of individual homes. They compared similar data. See, again, you want to reject the facts. And what I'm trying to explain to you I
am refusing.
So in other words, he's shown him that these are two researchers working for the federal government. The federal government is referred to their data. These are two researchers. He gave him the information, gave him the facts, and he's saying, nah, I'm white and I say so. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. That's nonsense. Now, he isn't showing where the study is flawed, which is what is supposed to be incumbent on you. It's now on you, Patrick, to show that the study is flawed. I don't believe that. Instead of saying, okay, well, the federal government said that. Let me just go ahead and take that into account and I'll look into it. So in other words, this is how white supremacy works. This is how white supremacy works. This is how white supremacy works. They are not arguing against the Holocaust. They're getting each other on code against us. And it is bigger than pearly things. It is bigger than pearly things. It is bigger than pearly things. And if all of you who saw my original video about pearly things that set this firestorm off, if all you did was stop at pearly things because you got your gossip fix for the day, you missed the damn point. I talked about Adam 22 in that video. I've talked about other folks since then. I'm talking about other folk tonight. This is bigger than her. That's my point. And all of these channels have been given millions of dollars in advertising. YouTube, understand something. When YouTube disables monetization on channels like mine, that's thousands of dollars that you won't have. It wouldn't be millions, but that's thousands we wouldn't have. And even though the algorithm's been screwed with, and even for bigger YouTube channels, they don't really make as much money as they used to. The bottom line is, you see what they all trade on. They all trade on the misleading metric of subscribers. And without YouTube putting it into its proper context, that they got 1 million subscribers but only 10,000 views per video. So most of their subscribers have basically tuned out. Without that, these people are able to trade on subscriber numbers alone without YouTube doing its due diligence. Let me tell y'all something. If you are actually not watching a YouTube channel, YouTube knows. There is no excuse to have a single phony bot or a single person on YouTube who isn't regularly watching the channels that they're subscribed to. If you're not actually watching the channel that you're subscribed to, YouTube knows it. It doesn't take them 3 months, 6 months, a year. They don't have to sit up here and unsubscribe people who are actually watching. YouTube knows if you're tuning in every month. I got a bunch of y'all tell me every month that YouTube unsubscribed you even though you're tuning into the program. YouTube unsubscribed you anyway. Now, if YouTube were doing this fairly, wouldn't they have unsubscribed 80% of Pearly Things followers and then seen if they come back? But that's because you're on a white supremacist website, and this is what white supremacists do, and I am calling them from what they are. So Patrick Bet-David, they'll give him 4 million subscribers. They won't go back and curate it because he's only got about a 10 to 20% watch rate ratio among his subscribers. 4 million subscribers, but only 200,000 to 300,000 views. And then a lot of the time, he doesn't even get that many. But they're boosting him because they know, hey, we got to finance. If you want white supremacists and white supremacist adjacent individuals who will toe the line, they got to be financed. You can't starve them for money and expect them to get nothing done. You got to make sure that you pay and make sure they're well financed. They got to be financed. So this is why all the rest of these folk out there, Richard Cooper, Rollo Tomasi, we got to make sure they papered up. We got to make sure their numbers are good because otherwise they can't continue. You see, they don't have the ability to aggregate an audience on their own. We better make sure that they're well funded and get the numbers up, make it seem like they got influence. And then it just gives the appearance that they're winning when they're not.
47 million appraisal reports to the public for the.
Did you get that?
What I'm selling is when this is again, since I guess you couldn't pull it up. Okay.
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay. The Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time.
Now, did you all hear that? 47 million appraisal reports. 47 million. There are only 140 million houses in the U.S. 47 million appraisal reports. And Patrick Bet-David heard all this. There's only 300-something million people in the United States, only 140 million homes, 47 million appraisal reports, and Patrick Bet-David said, yeah, you need more evidence. We need to see more proof. We need to see, how do I know that that's enough numbers? I don't know if that's enough. I mean, remember what he said before. Before it was, how do you know that?
To $300,000 less because they're black? You know that that's actually happened, right?
You'll take one story and say that.
Oh my God!
On how many occasions has that happened?
Okay, on how many occasions has that happened? Fast forward.
What I'm selling is when this is again, since I guess you couldn't pull it up. Okay.
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay, the Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color.
That's such bullshit. That's such
God.
bullshit. You know.
Yeah. 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 YouTube blows these channels up. YouTube steers audience. YouTube inflates numbers. YouTube floods and saturates the home pages. And then you got some jackass telling me what Pearly Things has earned. Folks, there's a multitude of other channels out here that are doing this. Many of them been flying below the radar and they're trying to encroach in this area here. But let's be clear. These are a bunch of white folk trying to talk about black folks' issues. If you want to talk about white folk, bring on Rollo Tomasi and talk about white women all day. It's not talking about white women. Pearly Things ain't talking about white women. Why? I want to ask you all a fundamental question. Why is it that these white people and these white programs, these white show hosts do not want to discuss white women? Why don't they want to discuss white women? This is bigger than Pearly Things. This is what they do on this website, Facebook, Twitter, Elon Musk is a out dying the wool, out and out white supremacist now. I've been talking about him for a decade. These Afrikaners and their children. Now he's just come on out to be what he is. Pearly Things didn't back down either, by the way. She didn't back down either. I'm certain that Mr. Kissen was a bit disappointed because, you see, she let something a little bit different come out there when she started talking. I want to play that.
Of that point of view, usually. So, I've heard it, but I've just never.
Boy, she looks so cringe when she says this, by the way. She looks so damn cringe.
I've just never heard it like.
I mean, she's just in so much turmoil.
Like that, I guess. So we just brought him on a panel just like about race mixing, and they did a whole panel on it.
But then he was denying the Holocaust.
You know, that was crazy. That was.
But that's what he does. That's why I'm asking you.
Well,
why...
but we brought him on to talk about race mixing. That's what we brought him on, because it's a relationship show. And then we just interviewed him because he was there.
But there will be people, Pearl, who will say, well, if you're going to bring that person on, and look, again, this isn't to, misrepresent or do any of those types of things. The reason we have this show is so we...
Ignore.
No, because if you're not addressing the fact that he's a Holocaust denier, then you're ignoring that. Do you see what I mean?
I mean, I don't agree that the Holocaust didn't happen.
Yeah, no,
that's reassuring.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening to him. Yeah. And I think you're allowed to listen to people that you might not agree with. And I think as women, we're more agreeable than men. So a lot of times you might take it as me agreeing, but no, I didn't.
Well, you did say, so it's kind of like slavery, it's been embellished.
I was talking about how people use atrocities to control people. And I was quoting Thomas Sowell, who's a Black author, who said
I'm
a
big fan of Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, so I was quoting Thomas.
Yeah, these are your Jewish individuals on YouTube sounding just like the white supremacists, just more than one together. This is them out there and whatnot. And a lot of folk use that to try to hide behind that. Oh, well, you see, these aren't Caucasians, and they're still white, and they are pushing the white supremacist line. There's very little daylight between them and Pearly Things. Very little daylight.
Sowell, and speaking about his ideas if people watch the full interview.
Yeah.
And I said that in the interview.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how people use an atrocity to control people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but you don't think that's what happened with the Holocaust?
It sounded like it based on what he was saying, but
he's a well-known Holocaust denier. Of course, it would sound like that.
That's where I was feeling.
Sorry.
Let me
Forgive
finish.
Well, he didn't like that when she stalled there when he said that. Well, but that's what he was saying about the Holocaust. And she stalled. All of a sudden, Mr. Kissen, who is very much defensive and promoting anti-blackness, all of a sudden he didn't like that because he's like, wait a minute, what if her channel recovers and this is what she's able to push?
At the time, that's what I was talking about. It sounded like some of Thomas Sowell's ideas, but do I think that the Holocaust didn't happen? No. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess what do you think your responsibility is when you bring on controversial guests onto the show? Do you have any responsibility? What do you believe?
For the guests?
No, not for the guests. Mm-hmm. For the content that you put out, Pearl.
Yeah, I'm responsible for all the content I put out.
You're responsible for all the content that you put out. And do you now look at that and think you shouldn't have done that? You made a mistake. You made an error.
I don't regret having someone controversial on. If I had to do it again, I would have maybe had someone on the opposite end of the argument that could push back.
Now, did you all notice she didn't back down here? By the way, take a look at her face. And particularly, did you see the way she curled her lips when he's sitting there telling her, do you think you should have done something different? Take a look at her face and take a look at the way she curled her lips when she said, I didn't. Now watch this again.
Content that you put out. And do you now look at that and think you shouldn't have done that? You made a mistake. You made an error. I don't regret having someone controversial on. If I had to do it again, I would have maybe had someone on the opposite end of the argument that could push back. But how I probably would have did it if I had to do it again, one full interview with both of them. Let them talk, let them say what they're going to say, and then bring them together.
Yeah. So there's some folks out there who are worried. They're worried that they haven't seen or heard the last of this. The point I'm making tonight is very, very clear to anybody who's slow. It's very clear. You haven't heard the last of this. You haven't heard the last of this because it's bigger than pearly things. It's bigger than pearly things. That's my point. It's bigger than pearly things. I want to go back and remind you one more time here. This is bigger than her. Because if you're sitting here and you just narrow it down to her and you don't bring in all these other people that I just named, if you don't bring all of them and put them in their proper context, this is how we end up where we are. This is how we end up where we are. Where you sit up here and you swat one of them and then they're like, damn me herpes. They keep flaring back up. It's not accidental when you see that happen. Want to remind you one more time of what she said here before we go back to Patrick.
I have a video coming out about that whole thing. So
You do?
you guys have to wait for the video.
Well,
But I will say, I did not find Nick to be racist. My staff actually did not find him to be racist.
Wait, he was talking.
Which, by the way, King Riches says literally that he told Pearly Things that Nick Fuentes was racist. So the white supremacists don't compare notes. They're trying to influence the world, but they don't even compare notes. Hell, they don't even compare what they just said before. And if these guys had done any research whatsoever, they would have realized that. But by the way, oh yeah, she just sat there and said it into their faces. Yeah, I don't think Nick's a racist. I don't really see it like that. I don't think he is. My staff doesn't think he is. So yeah.
Whole thing. So
You do?
you guys have to wait for the video.
Well,
But I will say, I did not find Nick to be racist. My staff actually did not find him to be racist.
Wait, he was talking to an Italian girl next to you and saying that she shouldn't have a black boyfriend or something along those lines.
He doesn't believe in. See, I don't really want to go into like the race mixing stuff too much.
No, but you just said he wasn't being racist, and I watched him be racist on your show.
Well, I mean, to me, he says the same things that like there's a lot of people that think like that.
By the way, Adam22 said the same thing. Do you all remember I pointed out before on my other YouTube channel? Adam22 said the same thing. That while these are things you can hear from other folk, and then they keep bringing up Umar Johnson's name. But by the way, did you hear that? Yeah. By the way, did you get that? Now, there have been a bunch of folk out here, and I pointed this out before, and I will continue pointing this out. There have been a bunch of folks out there who claim Pearly Things is not racist. Why she's just ignorant. Why she just doesn't know any better. Well, she's not racist. I mean, she's just kind of goofy. She's a grifter. I wish y'all would stop saying that word grifter. There's a difference between a grifter and a white supremacist. Just because they use something to make money doesn't mean they're grifting. A grifter is somebody who doesn't necessarily believe what they're saying. She's letting you know, oh, yes, I believe it. Oh, yes, I do believe this. She's letting you know, yeah, I mean, this is me. Sure, yeah, this is exactly who I am. Yeah, I believe it. No, I don't think Nick Fuentes is racist. No, I don't. All the folks who were being apologists, all the folks who were co-signing, all the folks who were covering, all the folks who were hoping that they could collaborate with her and we'll just join audiences. So I'll sell my damn soul out for some of you based on your occupations. I doubt you have much soul to sell. For some of you, take a look at your occupations and what you do for a living, or in your case, what you used to do for a living. And it doesn't seem like you actually have much soul to bargain off or to pawn off anymore. But what little shreds you did have, yeah, you so eager. Ooh, I wonder how much money I can make if I went from having 300,000 subscribers, or in your case, 286,000 subscribers, to 1 million. How much more money would I make? Spoiler alert, Slappy, the same amount of money you're making now. You have to sell courses now because you ain't making advertising revenue. You ain't making Patreon revenue. You got to sell courses now. You're just trying to keep up the facade that you're a major mover. And it's really kind of crazy. It's just the same little group, the same small group of, I guess, middle income, maybe high middle income people just throwing money at you week after week. But by the way, all the folks who were sitting here just last week claiming that she wasn't racist, they got some explaining to do now, don't they? How is it that we've been saying this the whole damn time, and now she's come out and said, yeah, Nick Fuentes isn't a racist. I don't think he's racist at all. Now what's your excuse for her? Why don't you just come out and say, hey, look, white supremacists don't bother me. We're from immigrant backgrounds, so we're kind of cool with white supremacy. It's like, hey, just when they slap the lashes on your ass, we're just better at taking it than you foundationals are. We're just better at it taking it than you are. So, hey, they don't strike me as white supremacists. They're just kind of goofy. They just say inappropriate things, but it ain't racist. Well, I've seen real racism. I mean, that ain't it. I've seen real racism, and that's not it. Remember? Yeah, there's a reason why you can have those kind of things happen. There's a reason for it.
Stuff too much.
No, but you just said he wasn't being racist, and I watched him be racist on your show.
Well, I mean, to me, he says the same things that like there's a lot of
Italian girl next to you.
Mm-hmm. I'll say I did not find Nick to be racist. My staff actually did not find him to be racist.
Wait, he was talking to an Italian.
You can see the whole damn interview on trigonometry so you can get her side of white supremacy. Then you can get their side of white supremacy because trigonometry is on the same thing. They're just like, hey, you're not just confining your white supremacy to black folk. Trigonometry is in support of Thomas Sowell. Trigonometry thinks that racism, that slavery against black people is exaggerated, but that the Holocaust isn't. So slavery against black people is exaggerated, the Holocaust isn't. Adam over there at Valuetainment. Well, slavery against black people is exaggerated, but the Holocaust, you better not say nothing about that. It is bigger than pearly things. It is bigger than pearly things. People, it's over a month later. Y'all see me. I've spread this out. I'm talking about everybody else now. I haven't been talking about pearly things for a month. I've been talking about everyone else. People, it is bigger than pearly things. It's bigger than that is the point I'm trying to make. This is bigger than pearly things. There are channels way bigger than her sitting up here giving her a pass, apologizing, telling you it's no big deal. What are you worried about? And I'm talking about them, and that's making a lot of folk very uncomfortable right now. There are folks been in my comment section, white supremacists and bootlicks in my comment section. They've been real mad because they're like, Jason, why are you still talking about pearly things? But I'm not talking about pearly things. You're on a video where I'm talking about other people, talking about why you still talking about her. So you can't be upset that I'm talking about her because my video's not talking about her. I'm talking about these other things, these other people. What you're upset about is, I'll be damned if he was able to do this much damage to her. You're going to tear down the whole edifice. You're going to tear down the whole structure. You damn right. Burn, baby, burn. What they were hoping was that the lens and the focus would remain strictly on her. So you see, it becomes like the Hydra. You cut off one head, but there's a bunch of others to take its place. I'm like, no, I'm not cutting off your head. I'm stabbing you in the heart. Let's see if that works. Let's see if that one works. They want all of you to keep your eye on her for right now because, and understand, folks' numbers are not doing so well in this regard. They're not doing so well. Let me go ahead and put this in its proper context for you so that you understand this. By the way, shout out to you over there, Adam. Let me go ahead and put that in its proper context because if folks are not aware, I said this to you before that they'll have you all deceived. They'll have you all completely deceived about what's working and what isn't. They'll have you completely deceived about who has influence and who doesn't. And I've been saying forever, when you ask me, Jason, what are they worried about? What are they scared about? What are they sitting up here having all kinds of conniptions and fits over? What are they worried about and scared about? And I've been warning you about this forever. I've been saying this for the longest damn time. Get your head on straight. Get your head on straight because I want to make sure you understand this. And some of you are not going to like some of the things you hear, but let me go ahead and put it in this proper perspective for you here. When you go on Valuetainment money Oh yeah, I'm going there. 162,000 subscribers. Oh boy, all the pearly things butt kissers, lead attorneys butt kissers, all the folks who sit up here and fall for the subscriber count phoniness, that subscriber count charade. You all hate it when I say, hey, why don't we go take a look at the channel's view count numbers and see how many of those 100,000, 300,000, 500,000 million people, how many of them actually tune in? All of a sudden, the bootlicks and the white supremacist supporters don't like it when I do this part right here. Valuetainment Money, 162,000 subscribers, 870 videos. Sounds like y'all ballin'. Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. 5 hours ago, 1,300 views. I got more views than that live on my program right now. Talked about Kevin Samuels a day ago, 4,600 views. That's all you got. Knowledge is sexy, but apparently your channel ain't. 3.2 thousand views 2 days ago. 3 days ago, a picture of Andrew Tate, How Could You Lose? The Health Crisis Killing Men, 4,000 views. Ben Shapiro rejects SOS and Myron's rules for high-value men, 13,000 views 4 days ago. You got 162,000 subscribers, 14,000 views. Stop Woke Madness, talking about Bud Light. Well, you latched onto that hot button issue, 223,000 views. Congratulations. By the way, right before that, 28,000 views. Just Pearly Things, the video I was just playing here for you all. 28,000 views. I've gotten way more. I've gotten over 70,000 views on my video talking about valuetainment, and this video here about Just Pearly Things accused of racism by woke SJWs. I've got 75,000 views. They got 28,000. Don't worry, it gets worse than this, because this is actually the highlights. For those of you who want to say, well, that's just the videos, Jason. What about the lives? Oh, it gets worse on the lives. Andrew Tate plans to create the great South Park episode of all time. 7 days ago, 18,000 views. About Lizzo, 8 days ago, 3,800 views. Tom Brady's ex scores the biggest boss in Miami. 10,000 views, and that's just complete clickbait, by the way. That's a lie and clickbait, but okay. And all you got for it 9 days later, 162,000 subscribers, and all you can get is 10,000 views. We can keep going like this, folks, if you want to. 3,000 views, 15,000 views, 4,000 views, 3,000 views, 120,000. Great. Could you hold it? Hell no. 2.8 thousand views, 3.1 thousand, 6.2 thousand, 5.3 thousand. 93,000. Can you hold it? Had to talk about Andrew Tate, by the way. You can't even get anything for your own channel. You got to talk about Andrew. But when it comes down to you talking for yourself, you can only get 3,000 views. 162,000 subscribers, 3,000 views. This is the upside, people. You want to hear about the good news versus the bad news? This is the good news. Let's go to your lives. We're talking about the original programs that you took these clips from, because some of your butt kissers and bait chasers will fall for this garbage, because a lot of uneducated, unintelligent people fall for this mess. They take out all these clips and post all these clips. Let's go to the original programs that these clips came from. 2 hours ago, he's gotten 3,000 views. People, I've got more views than that right now live. I got more views than that right now live. He's got 162,000 subscribers on Patrick Bet David's Valuetainment Money channel. His they signed off here 2 hours ago and only got 3,000 views from their live program. A day ago, 15,000 views from their live program. 7 days ago, a week ago, 14,000 views from their live program. 10 days ago, 53,000 views from their live program. My program 3 days ago has over 70,000 views. Just 3 days ago. I'm sorry, 80,000 views 3 days ago. Oh yeah, from a guy who don't even show his face. You can hate on that all day. If you want to, stuff that in your blunt and smoke. And we're lapping you. Running backwards, we're lapping you. Maybe you should stop showing your face. And Adam, maybe that would help if you stopped showing yours. Just a suggestion. Because the guy who doesn't show his consistently can get more views. Oh, look, Andrew Tate released. So clickbait, because it's not like you're breaking any news or got an interview with him. 160,000 views. Could you hold it? Hell no. The Paul brothers exposed. Y'all, what's his name? CoffeeZilla got millions of views off of talking about exposing the Paul brothers. Valuetainment money for a month ago with 162,000 subscribers couldn't get but 28,000 views. People, my Tekashi 6ix9ine video got 35,000 views 2 weeks ago, and I don't have 162,000 subscribers, but they got 162,000 and they couldn't get, this is really pathetic. This is real pathetic. He could barely get 10% of his audience to show up. A month ago, Thoughts on Yachts, he could only get 14,000 views. Will Smith versus Chris Rock, 54,000 views. For a channel with 162,000 subscribers, pathetic. The Feminist Lie, 16,000 views. Who's the Boss, 29,000 views. $300 million lawsuit, 63,000 views. Feminist versus Alpha, 63,000 views. This was a month ago. 162,000 subscribers, and your videos are in the single digits of thousands. And if you're lucky, you can get in the double digits of thousands. And every once in a while, if you hit a hot button issue, you can get 160,000. Take a look at that, 160,000 views. Very next video, 53,000 views. You realize the folks who tuned in for this didn't think that you were worth coming back because they probably saw the stuff you put up before. You weren't worth coming back for. This is why I put up a video and it doesn't go viral, it goes nuclear. YouTube doesn't want us to have this kind of power because I'm saying, you know what? I ain't just after Pearly things. I'm after her and all the fellow travelers. I'm like Pokemon. I want to get them all. I don't want just her. YouTube, you boosted all these people. You created all this. You want to create this white supremacist media ecosystem. I'm here to burn it down, but we got to talk about all of them. Valuetainment's trying to spread the field some more, but this is the guy who built Valuetainment. Well, I'm showing you his white supremacist suspected credentials, and take a look at the other individuals around him. Folks, this is bigger than Pearly things. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. This is bigger than Pearly things. This is bigger than that. And if all you do is you get caught up in chasing just one person, paying attention to one person, and you're not looking at the entire big picture, which is what I'm trying to show you now. Take a look at the whole picture. Take a look at the whole thing. See all the players who are on the board. Take a look at everyone who's been capitalizing on this. Take a look at everybody who is a fellow traveler. All these other channels, a bunch of them you never even heard of. And YouTube is boosting them too. And the only thing they all got in common is they hate black people. And they're attempting to rewrite history to make it acceptable to target and oppress black people. And that's where Pearly things really comes from. Because we've been showing you here the whole time where she's been doing this the whole time. YouTube built it up for that reason. She's going to be a sleeper agent. She's going to talk about black folks' relationships where she's got no damn business opening her damn pie hole to talk about us. But they know that there are enough bootlicks, buck dancers, slave traders, and white supremacists circling around. Their job is just to give them fertile soil. Their job is just to give them fertile soil to spread the message. And they know what the message is. Folks, if you're still talking about Pearly things, you missed the point of why I made that video. This is bigger than her. I've spent the last month now trying to hammer this home. That's why I've been saying names and naming other people. Folks, this ain't about pearly things. This is bigger than her. How many of you understand that this is bigger than pearly things? If you understand that this is bigger than her, I want you to give me the straight up arrow emoji in the chat room. Give me the up arrow emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If you understand that what I started here a month ago, this is bigger than pearly things. There's a whole bunch of pearly things out there that we haven't mentioned or talked about or gotten to. There's a whole bunch of them. This is bigger than her. And it always has been. This is bigger than her. However, some of you might disagree. Some of you might have a different view on that. Some of you might still believe that she's not racist. By the way, those of you who said that, you're still out there. You can come to that. As a matter of fact, by the way, Pearly, I told you to be quiet, and all you've really done is go on an exercise and a campaign to show how much worse you can make it. Ma'am, my first bit of advice would be you need to shut up. My only second bit of advice would be the only way you're going to salvage your reputation is talking to the source that set this off, though I probably wouldn't recommend you talk to me either, because I guarantee you it'll only get worse after that. You can't save this and you can't salvage this. By the way, to the folks out there, hey, you know, she added more subscribers. You know what they didn't say? Go take a look at those view count numbers since she's tried to make her comeback. You notice that the white supremacists in the comment sections, that subscriber number thing, boy, they finding out real quick. Hey, when they say her subscriber, when the boot licks, all the butt kissers, the black butt kissers who think if I suck mommy's ass a little longer, maybe she'll have me on. By the way, how did that work for them? And the Manosphere, how'd that work for them? Them niggas have been getting clowned now for weeks. How'd that work out for them kissing her ass? All it did is turn them into pariahs too. But by the way, you notice they're backing off of that subscriber count thing because I taught you all, when they say subscriber count, you say view count. And then all of a sudden, they don't want to talk about the view counts. They don't want to discuss that at all. Yeah, because they realize, that smoke and mirrors y'all play with the subscriber numbers, that smoke and mirrors you play, folks ain't falling for it anymore. That optical illusion, that mirage about the subscriber numbers, folks ain't falling for it. Folks, this is bigger than her. Way bigger. Way bigger. We're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom for everybody here. I'm also going to go ahead and open up the blog talk here as well. Remember, I give priority to Zoom. So if you're on Zoom, you get priority for that. The only thing is, if you're going to be on Zoom, all we ask here is that you turn on your camera and your microphone. That's all we ask there. So if you're on Zoom, you can definitely join us there. For everybody else, you can go ahead and give us a call on Blog Talk. That's available for you as well. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch and that YouTube is scared to death of. This is the place talking about it tonight, and we're going to be beating this like a drum. For all the rest of you who thought you got away, the most dangerous man on YouTube is letting you know, I've been following you and watching you for a while. We're not letting this go. It's bigger than pearly things. All of you out there have had your white supremacist ecosystem talking on us day and night. Now we're going to change that. Or you're more than welcome to keep talking about us. I just don't think you're going to like what you see. Let me go ahead here and get Zoom. I got Charles. You're on here live. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, what's up? I love what you're doing here, man. And here's the really messed up part about all of this is that there are still going to be some people in that black wine still who are still going to be sipping, still going to go act like, oh, I'll just be not just in pearly things, but also all these other creators and such. You know, they look at the subscribe count, but not the view count. They're like, ooh, I got like my 100K subscribers, but look at your view counts. What about your view count? What are they watching you? Are they talking about you? Are you doing anything? Instead, they're just, they will sell their souls, not just their souls, but the people around them, their kids, their families, their mothers, their girlfriend, everybody, just for this little bit of morsel, a little bit of fame, for only 20 pieces of silver. Hell, not even 20 pieces, but like 1/10 of a silver coin to get some of this fame.
That's the point that I was making there, is that that's the point I was making earlier. They're hoping that they can ride one association or one interview or whatever to another one. They're just like, let me just go ahead and run the Chitlin circuit of white supremacists. Let me go ahead and do that. So it's not about relationships. It's about, they bring you on and then they want to see you talk down about black folk. That's the only reason they would bring you on, is to see you do that. Can we turn the conversation in that direction? But yeah, they're hoping to run the tables. They want to jump from her to whoever else out there is going to echo that, because they basically now have a whole tour you can go on. And you're right. There's a group of feckless, shameless individuals who couldn't make it in the real work world, don't have any pliable skills, never excelled at anything, on the internet faking and fronting. And meanwhile, they're just hoping they can get put on however they got to get put on. Meanwhile, they're just getting set out.
Oh, yeah. And before I head out, it is the direct cause of something I always talk about, people around me, is that the black community has the one main issue is the self-hatred. They look at what the white media portrays about black men, black boys, black girls, and black women. They look at them saying, well, they're all gutter trash, horrible, nasty people, idiotic, stupid, or anything else. They look at that and just say, well, this is what we are, and we have to, sell our old people out. It's that self-hatred that is monetized and built upon us. I just when you got someone like even Roly Poly Martin could come in, it has a little bit of a spine compared to these these black winospheres. What is going on?
Well, the good news is, if you take a look at it here, I think the last month has shown just how quickly that can change. It didn't take years and decades. Take a look at how quickly that changed the conversation. A lot of folks here, let me tell you something. Don't listen to anybody telling you, y'all still talking about pearly things. We're not talking about pearly things. We're talking about white supremacy. Don't let anybody sit up here and cower you under or try to shame you or scare you off of talking about racism like that. Because they understand that's what you're talking about. You keep saying, by the way, what about racism? And there's another thing I want to remind people of here. When Pearlie was on her way up, or it looked like she was on her way up, you notice you didn't hear folks saying that folks are making too many response videos to her. You didn't hear people saying that you're sharing her content too much. You didn't hear them going around from one video to another saying, why are you doing another response video to her? Why is y'all, for all the last year, you haven't heard people complaining and going around the comment section about, why are y'all talking about her, doing response videos, sharing her content, mentioning her, sharing clips from her program? For the last year, you could share her unlimited and you didn't hear any complaints about it. Now, all of a sudden, we're like, you know what? I want to get on that train. Let me go ahead and start sharing her an unlimited amount of time. Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about her on a frequent basis. Now it's turned to why you got to talk about her so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you have the last word.
And that's what it is. It's just this sad clout chasing, and it builds up because of the negativity, self-hatred of what we have in the media, not just today, but since we got here, since we were taken away from Africa. And it has been, the black media is a revolutionary thing, because we could actually show that, hey, we are not the imbeciles, idiots, and just shuffling and jiving and all this type of stuff. We are a people that are smart, capable, and not just that, but we helped make this country.
Well, and the modern era here is beyond that. Now we have a code about it. This is about being on code. These other folk over here, they're showing you. When we say circling the wagons, that just means they're getting on code. Now you've seen us in a very short amount of time. It flipped over, and now you've seen a bunch of folks, a bunch of young black people on code. Man, that is scary as hell for these people. Don't y'all understand? Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. That's scary as hell for them to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear us talking about something else. That's scary as hell. Let me go ahead and get another person here on Zoom. Go ahead and turn your microphone, your camera, and everything on, and we'll go ahead and get you on Zoom for us here. And by the way, we're going to go ahead and go to the telephone lines here next. So if you're on Blog Talk or whatever, be ready so you don't have to get ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay, caller on Zoom. All right, you got your camera turned on for us here. All right, what's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Duke from Wisconsin.
All right,
how
Duke
you doing,
from Wisconsin.
Jason?
What's on your mind?
Yeah. So your live tonight is actually fire. What you're talking about today, it's actually interesting because it's opening up a lot of eyes. Because realistically, this is something I've been noticing for a while, especially with this whole far right takeover of not only some of what you see, the elements of the Manosphere, but the way they're using, or like the tactics they're using to kind of jump right in, right? So they use it, first of all, because one thing I started to notice is I started to notice a lot of women shaming, but not just women shaming, Black women shaming, which was kind of overt. And you would see that women like Pearl would do that. They'll get tons of views. Some of these other podcast platforms, they'll get tons of views, right? And I was always wondering, I was like, why is this trend happening? Then you start to see these larger podcasts, and some of them, you like Valuetainment Money. What does that have to do with anything relationship? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, but it goes beyond that, though. You say it's about Black women shaming, but here's the real thing. It also goes to YouTube, because here's the thing. You don't have videos about Giselle Bundchen going viral like that. You can't really talk about white women the same way, and YouTube gives you the same lift. You don't get that same spread. So when you see pearly things do that, I'm telling people, folks, the game is rigged. YouTube, the thing about the chick who was living in the van, they gave her 2 million followers or whatever, 2 million views in a couple of weeks. YouTube can flip a switch literally and put you on the front page, and next thing you know, you got 1 million subscribers. It doesn't have to take them a year. They can do it in a week. So if you start to talk about other women like that, YouTube turns the switch off. You might get 100,000, 200,000 views, but you're going to have to go find them. YouTube ain't going to bring them to you. Now, if you talk down about Black folk, YouTube will bring you views.
And and that's the one thing I want to get your opinion on, because I don't know what it is. You think that they're trying to, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but they're talking a lot more. A lot of this space is getting more political. I even get stuff on my comment section when I would talk, for instance, when I would even speak on stuff like reparations, right? I would get people to say, well, you're a liberal. I'm like, how is it a liberal thing or what do you call it, a far left thing to ask about reparations? Well, you see other people are talking about this. And then when you talk about all these other things that have to do with traditional relationships and all these other things, and trying to bash women, or kind of frame them into this world of view that these guys are used to use it. And it's like, first of all, do y'all even know where a lot of these traditional frameworks come from to begin with, that you're spouting all this stuff? And then what I'm now seeing is everyone is starting to look at these scenarios in the lens of politics. And what we're seeing is this whole far right takeover. That's why you're starting to see this whole Nick Fuentes thing. And one of the things I've been speaking out against, I'm like, yo, if you guys are digging into this whole red pill bullshit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse in the show. I'm sorry about that. If you guys I don't
have any censors.
Oh man. Yeah, but I was like, if you guys are digging in, going into these red pill rabbit holes, right? And you end up with Nick Fuentes at the end of that picture, you have a problem. Like, there is a problem. And what I'm starting to see is the far right starting to court this young man. I mean, this is a racist Nazi, right? You're seeing a guy, even popular guys you would call mainstream YouTubers like Sneeko, Aiden Ross, right? A Jewish guy, which is crazy to me, right? This guy's over here agreeing with a Nazi who wants to eviscerate his own culture, but he's sitting there agreeing with it. And guys like that have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Well, just understand what the idea is behind that. You're saying, okay, we got a Jewish fella sitting up here co-signing Nick Fuentes, which is very easy to believe. But just understand what his idea is. His idea is, okay, well, why would he back Nick Fuentes, you would say? Because his idea is, all right, well, Nick, can we all agree we need to get the niggas? Can we all agree we need to do that? So why don't we all, we can't agree on this Jewish thing. We're not going to back on that.
Kanye's not helping.
But
Kanye is not
you
helping.
do have a beef with Black folk. Let's see if can we all agree to get them first? Now, can we get them first, and then we can settle all these other issues later. But the part we do agree on, can we all get mobilized on that now? And the truth is, yeah, they could get mobilized on that. So they've got common ground. How does a Jewish sit together with a Nazi? Well, remember World War II. Do I have to remind you, for those of you who don't know your World War II history, you're black, you go ask your grandfathers who fought in World War II in the mess halls over there in Europe and whatnot. The Nazis were sitting with the white American soldiers. The white American soldiers were not sitting with the black, quote, American soldiers. The white American soldiers were sitting with the Nazis in the mess hall. They were eating with the Nazis. So, yes, sir, they could all agree on, by the way, when this war is over, the war was not fought over black folk. It wasn't fought over protecting us. There's never been a war fought over protecting us, not even the Civil War. It's not over us.
Because we go out there and they'll die quick. They'll have black folks die quick in the military, and no one is even talking about this, right? Like everyone, it's no problem when it comes to sending black folks out there to go die off in some kind of white man's war or some kind of Middle Eastern war that we had no business being in. But when it comes to getting some benefits down home, when it comes to getting some, even what you were just talking about with housing and with Patrick McDavid and that whole scenario, which is crazy. He actually got exposed by like guys like CoffeeZilla and all those guys too as well. But like this whole video you played was just clear as day, because you can see like the slow drift into pushing people to not only forget a whole lot of things, because this is weird erasure you're starting to see. But now another trend I'm noticing is they're putting people who reflect the culture to speak against them. So, for instance, we even bring it down to the Manosphere, right? We're looking at guys like I wouldn't even say his name, the dude that's filing copyright strikes against me right now on behalf of another of Just Pearly Things, which I find ridiculous. But we even go to that. They're putting people that look like you to attack you, and it's like crazy. So we got Aiden Ross being a Jew, but then he's over here pretty much joining force with a Nazi, and then you have not only Aiden Ross, but Kanye West is also apparently siding with Nick Fuentes, and he's always, you notice, like that's one of his fallbacks. He's falling back to, oh well, I'm doing stuff with Kanye, and Kanye really wants this, and I'm like, whoa, hold up, time out. I think y'all are going too far into this. So there's a big problem. I think like what you did with the Just Pearly Things and just putting in that scenario really opened a lot of eyes of people who can actually see this drift into the space to try to basically hijack their minds to forget about what's going on and blindly, I don't know if it's to vote for something. I don't know what the end goal for these people are. All right. I just don't know, but I can clearly see the hijacking of not just this space, but multiple space into this just weird grift.
Here's the end game. The end game is what you saw on Pearly Things. The end game is what you will see occasionally on Valuetainment. That's not a place where they bring on black folk. The end game is that they want to normalize the idea, number one, first and foremost, black people have gotten everything they need to get. They don't need to get a single thing more. That there is no restorative justice. There doesn't need to be any change to the status. The status quo is fine, just like it is. We do not need any more protections. We do not need any more adjustments. We don't need anything. Don't give black folk nothing else. Whatever's happening to them now, tell them they're not victims and send them on their way. But the bottom line is, do not give them one more bit of help. Do not give them one bit of protection. Let the system run wild on them. But number one, first and foremost, nothing at all. Give nothing else. Let the status quo stand. That's the first thing. Number two, you need to find a hand-picked group of Negroes who you can co-opt. Won't be hard. Dangle a little money. It won't be hard. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to dangle the money. You can just hold it in your hand. You don't even have to give it to them. Just tell them they potentially could get it. And that'll be enough to carve off some. They won't be the best. They won't be the brightest. They won't be the smartest. They won't be the most capable. There certainly won't be the ones with the credibility, but you'll get some. Don't worry. That they always fall off that tree.
That's true.
Wiggle a little money, something always fall off. You might not be able to use it very well, but something's going to fall off. And send them to do your dirty work. Let them speak first, and then after they've said what you agree with, then you bring them on your platform and say, well, we just want to have a conversation. Okay, but here's the problem. You bring on Thomas Sowell, you don't bring on anybody to debunk him. You bring on Candace Owens, but you don't bring on anybody to debunk her. So just like with Pearly Things, bring on Nick Fuentes, there's nobody else there. What I showed with Adam 22, he brings on Richard Spencer on one hand and Destiny on the other, and both of them agreeing with each other the whole time.
Wild.
So that's the game they're playing now is say that you're holding a forum, but then get together on either only bring one person, or if you do have more than one person, they all agree on whatever it is, and then say, well, we were just having an open dialogue. It's not an open dialogue when the only dialogue is white supremacists. Number 3, make sure that you tell the people that the only thing that really matters is whether or not they're entertained. That's the last thing. Tell them it's a joke. Tell them it's entertainment. Tell them it's not that serious. Tell them you're too sensitive. Tell them it's just YouTube. But for those of you who follow your history, you understand, no, it's not just YouTube. You take a look at Birth of a Nation. You take a look at Gone with the Wind. We can go down the list. Media is used to either push a narrative or to make people more comfortable with one that's already there. There's a reason why Joseph Goebbels' name is down in history alongside Hitler. Everybody knows 3 people from the Nazi regime: Adolf Hitler, Dr. Mengele, and Joseph Goebbels. Now, we remember Hitler when he was in charge of it. Remember Mengele from The Boys in Brazil. They made a bunch of movies about him, but he was the doctor because that's sexy. And then Joseph Goebbels, you remember him? Well, that's the minister of propaganda. But he was a student. But if you remember, he was a student of Hollywood. He was an early student of Hollywood. He was an early student of filmmaking back in the days when it was hard to do. This is a guy who learned, hey, imagery is how we can sell Hitler to the people and get the whole population to buy in. But so understanding how media is used, and over here they're using it to tell you, oh, don't worry, when they talk about slavery is exaggerated, it's entertainment. And when you have a couple of guys on YouTube get together and say, oh, she's not racist, it's just ignorance, well, that's just entertainment. Next thing you know, it's entertainment until finally folk are acting on it.
Yep.
If what you see on TV, if what you see on YouTube, and this is an old thing to debunk the idea of it's just entertainment and advertising, ask yourselves a question. If what you all see on television and if what you all see on YouTube does not influence your behavior, will someone explain to me why in the hell companies pay now $7 million to have an ad during the Super Bowl? If it's not going to influence your behavior, why is it that YouTube is the biggest, Google, Alphabet, the biggest company on earth for advertising? Well, why is it they're the most paid company on earth and their business is advertising if advertising doesn't have an effect on you? If advertising has no effect, how the hell can they sell it and how can it make so much money? Obviously, it does. There's no such thing as entertainment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what you were mentioning earlier, that literally set the modern framework for what the media right now, like the propaganda media we have, right? It's no longer informative media. Everything's propagandized. That's why everything is so polarized. Even some of the tactics they use to like suppress voices that are obviously dissenting to the status quo. A lot of these guys, they figure out a way to just rebrand it, right? Like, so even what we see in this space, I remember when I was dealing with the lead attorney and I was trying to call him out to say, hey, this is ridiculous, right? And he said, oh, you're just being emotional. I'm like, wait a minute. But then what's crazy, you notice you go around all these other platforms, all these other so-called Black Manosphere leaders that have been allowed to run amok for years in these spaces, because the Black Manosphere has been around. So they've been allowed to run amok and just mush the brains of a lot of young Black males who are listening to them. All right. So when you call it out, notice all the same arguments they're using is either she pays us or you're emotional. And it's like, are you kidding me? You think this is a new argument? You think this is a new thing that just happened? You saying that people who are rising up or who are speaking out against this are emotional? That's not how this works. You can't rebrand it. You can't rephrase it that way. People had legitimate grievances. You're just brushing it off to the sides. And we even look at movements before that. This is the same tactics that they try to implement. And unfortunately, a lot of people tend to fall victim for this. I even get brothers coming up to me talking about, oh, you don't just get it. Oh, boy should have just taken that contract, right? You're just dumb. See, this is why brothers can't get ahead, because y'all can't see sign for a good deal when you see one. It's like, what are you talking about? Did you read? Do you understand what was going on? She's gonna dominate 70% of your channel, and that's if you're good. If you're not good, she's taking 90 of your channel.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to take 70% of a channel that's getting 10,000 views on a video, getting 5,000 views in a video. So I'm like, so you had to hook up with her to get 10,000 views. Dude, you could have got that on your own. Well, what do you need her? You need her to get 10,000 views? Something's wrong. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, man. Like, hey, listen, I would say you congratulations, man. So thank you to you for blowing this whole thing wide open, at least getting people to see it from that side of things, those lens, instead of just, because you notice a lot of these guys just, it's always about money and business and entrepreneurship. And like when you bring up legitimate grievance, they always drift it back to money or business. And it's like, hold on, right? Because this whole capitalist thing that you're pushing it back to, relax on that. We're just calling out an issue for what it is. So you doing that video on Pearl, breaking it open, and even doing subsequent videos after that, and calling it the bigger problem for what it actually is, it's opening a lot of eyes out there. And I just want to say, guys, like, listen, if you're out there, you're watching some of these dudes, first of all, you're seeing now that you have power. You're seeing a lot of these leaders coming out, and they're what they are, or what they claim to be, isn't it. They've been lying to you. They've been doing this, and you see the true motivations of what they are. So you understand now that with the numbers that you're looking at, the view counts that they have compared to what other people who are willing to stand on their square have, you understand that you have that power. You can vote with your eyeballs. Like, pay attention to a lot of these people and understand that not a lot of this stuff is really here for you, and there's a bigger agenda at play. And Jason, I want to say thank you so much for having me on here, and yeah, keep up the good work.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, this is going to be something for us to keep our eyes on here. Keep your eyes on what they're doing there. This is bigger than pearly things. This is bigger than pearly things. Now, to be clear here, for everybody who is on either Blog Talk or on Zoom, please remember, I do have a 1 call per week policy. So if you have called in on Monday's program, you'll need to give us a call back next week. So for those of you who might be new here, we're not being funny style, but for those of you who are on Blog Talk or on Zoom, be aware we have a 1 call per week policy, because I have a lot of folk who want to get through. It's not being funny style. We have a lot of folk who want to get through. And because of that, if I only have folks need to call in just 1 time a week, and you can get it in. But thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 321 on Blog Talk. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Jason? This is Antoine from Orlando.
All right, Antoine from Orlando. What's on your mind?
I like what you do. I just put I'm sorry?
What's on your mind?
No, I was just backing you up. I'm pretty sure you're aware of it. I've seen 2 documents. These are like FBI, Department of Homeland Security, where they're trying to show like a pathway to alt-right. Like they were showing Joe Rogan and
they're talking about
people you mentioned.
Yeah, on Fox News, I think they mentioned that they're talking about the red pill. Now they're talking about in the political sense. However, the fact that they've chosen that particular one, it really has dual meanings, well, multi-layered meanings to it. So yes, using things like based, red pill, if you see those kind of terms. So now that you've got law enforcement sitting up here saying it. That's why from the very beginning, you all have heard me sit up here and say from the very beginning, don't call me red pill, nothing. I've never been a part of red pill. I've never been a part of it. I don't go with it. Because the other thing is, the problem with that whole thing, and I mentioned this years ago, for those of you who did not see my video years ago, red pill racists. Everybody else is late to the damn party. I pointed out back then that during the uprisings over the murder of George Floyd, you had Richard Cooper and Rollo Tomasi both complaining about folk in the streets protesting. Rollo Tomasi and Richard Cooper, y'all go through my archive. I got a playlist, as a matter of fact, for red pill racists and Manosphere mistakes. It's a new playlist I just made, and one of the videos in it is red pill racists. I went there. I got the clips from their programs years ago. I covered this, and because I understood it then that you're seeing these guys, this red pill stuff is running parallel with the alt-right. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm recognizing where that comes from. And when you start mixing those together, you're now giving justification for law enforcement to go ahead and start stepping in and doing things. Next thing you know, Andrew Tate is getting arrested in Romania. But I saw it then. So then when I start seeing that, I'm recognizing what I'm looking at.
And let me back you up. Like with some of these Black Manosphere people, the whole reason why the Black Manosphere exists because they were part of the white Manosphere, but they were so racist. Even they would tell you, even the what's his name, Obsidian, he would tell you because he was originally on the white Manosphere, but it was so racist they had to make their own. That's the only reason why it exists. So I don't know why they acting like they don't know what you're talking about.
Well, they know exactly what it is, and they know where they came from with it. And I pointed out from the beginning because they were just not going to be honest enough to do that. And here's the real problem I have. The only reason we're talking about this now is because Pearly Things went so far with it. She went so extreme with it. That's the only reason we're talking about it now. I've been talking about it for years, but the general public wanted to go along and keep her as a guilty pleasure all this time. So it took her saying something really outrageous before, and then other folk to pick up on it before this really took off. Meanwhile, all of the rest of her compatriots are still out there. They just haven't said what she said. And if the standard is we got to wait till they put their clan robes on and say what she said before everybody gets mobilized, now that's a major problem. I'll let you have the last word.
Could I ask you one question? Do you think Andrew Tate got really arrested because he's half Black? Because he does promote his Black father a lot, which he said was a CIA agent because he was so smart.
I don't know why Andrew Tate got arrested. I have no idea why he got arrested. And I think that's the smartest position for everybody to take. We don't know why Andrew got arrested. We do know that there's other folk out there. There's all kinds of arguments that can be made, but let us be very, very clear. He was over there in Romania. That place is no friend to Black folk. And he chose to be there. Of all the places in the world, this man can live anywhere he wants to. He chose that place. And remember, beforehand, he gave a big, long list of explanations of why he chose to live in Romania. So the place that he chose to live in, there must be something advantageous about being there for him. Whatever the cons were, this is a man who's obviously got enough resources to weigh these things out thoroughly, and he chose that place for a reason. So I would just recommend to everyone, be careful about taking a position on that, because the truth is you don't understand why that man got arrested. We don't really know why. The prosecution, if they had a case, you figure they'd have been moving forward with it. By the same token, we don't know what all the facts are from our end. So I don't speak on things I don't know. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I don't speak on things I don't know. I speak on things I got a good idea about, but I don't speak on things I don't know. I don't speak on that. I think it's something to keep in mind. By the way, when you start seeing funny business, I think that's something to keep in mind. Okay, on Zoom here, we're going to give you a couple of seconds here to go ahead and turn your camera on for us here. If you don't, we'll send you on a permanent vacation. That can be lined up for you too. All right, Practical Absolutes, what's on your mind?
What's going on? So I was hearing about a lot of this stuff that was going on in this live discussion. A lot of good topics. One thing I guess I'll say to start off with is that in reference to the inflammatory things that Pearly Things had said, I don't think any of the things she said was something that Black people haven't said already. I'm not referring to quote unquote coons or whatever people want to call them nowadays. I'm referring to actual stand-up Black people who were community-based as far back as the 80s and 70s.
Who were the stand-up Black people who said that slavery was exaggerated?
Who were the stand-up Black people who said slavery was exaggerated? I would say it would be the individuals and whatnot who were standing on business. Name. Oh, okay, fine. I was 6 years old when I met Fred Hampton Jr. or whatnot, and he told me, also my dad, about how a lot of, not necessarily slavery, but the civil rights and all that stuff was not made out to what we think it is.
Okay, sir, who is the stand-up person that you're referring to who said that slavery was exaggerated, sir? Second try.
Me.
You.
Yes, sir.
Who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm Practical Absolutes.
And who are you that anybody should care what you think about slavery? What are your credentials to say that slavery is exaggerated? What are your credentials?
My credentials to say slavery is exaggerated. I got a bachelor's in biochemistry, got my master's, working on finishing up in my environmental science, and I'm getting ready to get in medical school, God willing. I've done an extensive amount of research as related to medicine, and I've read about a lot of disparities that exist in terms
How
of
does
race
a degree
and
in biology help you to be an expert on slavery, sir? That's called history.
I got a degree in biochemistry. However, I understand the point that you're trying to make, but I mean,
no, you just made the point that you were a stand-up individual qualified to say that slavery was exaggerated. I asked you what are your credentials to be able to do that, and you said I got a degree in biochemistry. How does biochemistry make you an expert on history, sir?
So, as being a kid or whatnot, I read a whole lot of books as it relates to, a variety of religions and a variety of history and whatnot. And before we even get into history and the historical concepts of this notion, like, we keeping in mind.
No, let's get to the history now, sir. I'm asking, who is it that you gave you the credentials to be able to speak on black history and say that slavery was exaggerated? I've asked you several times. You have yet to tell me with what authority you speak on slavery.
Oh, the credentials will be, I guess, suppose the books that I read and the notions that I've formed around the books and the studies that I've made.
Notions you formed around the books. Okay, what part of black people being enslaved in America was exaggerated? Specifically.
Welcome to McDonald's. Will you be using your mobile app today?
No, I'll be paying with Apple Pay.
Okay. What can I get for you?
I apologize, sir. Can I get a quarter pounder with cheese, no ketchup, and can you sub out the bread for artisan roll?
This is a quarter pounder coon on my phone. Okay.
And that's all.
Do you have some watermelon you can give him, ma'am, as well? He needs some watermelon and some corn on the cob.
Quarter cheese meal with a large Sprite, no ice, and no ketchup.
Watermelon is 91% water. Yeah, that's all. Watermelon is healthy for you.
I don't need $9.88 first window.
Awesome.
Are you at the drive-thru of Bojangles? Because I think that's the restaurant you need to be at.
Good, sir. I was trying to help and get this line was taking quite long. I thought I'd be able to get out of it before I got on live. But that was.
But the ancestors intervened. Turn the camera so we can see the girl in the drive-thru. Ma'am, if you're desperate for a man, you can take this fella. He's available. He doesn't work. He doesn't think.
Wait, I work at
but he's available.
I'm a surgical tech at a hospital.
God help the patients.
I got
lawsuits incoming.
I actually got a employee of the month this month, so
whatever hospital that if you're the employee of the month, whatever hospital that is, I hope I don't get an infection there.
Oh Lord! It actually is it's like mostly white people who work there. As
I'm sure it is.
But the thing is, though, considering there's most white people, and I got the employee of the month.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll probably give it to white people instead if white supremacy exists.
No, they won't, sir. No, they don't, because that doesn't do them any good. Employee of the Month is a symbolic, useless award. You didn't know that?
That's valid. That's a valid point.
Okay, and now you just sat here bragging about an invalid, useless award. I'm Employee of the Month, and what's it worth? Oh, nothing. But they love me. That's proof that they love me. So in other words, he goes for symbols, y'all. He's very easily fooled and very easily attracted to symbols.
Not necessarily, sir. I just wanted to make that point because I thought it would be beneficial.
Okay,
to say, but
a majority white workforce giving you Employee of the Month means what? You just said, well, they wouldn't do it if they was racist. I mean, this majority white folk, wouldn't they give it to one of them? No, sir, they wouldn't. I just exposed how ignorant and naive you are about this. These are basics. They've been pulling that con job for decades. These are basics, and you still falling for it in 2023. How old are you, son?
I'm 24 years old.
Of course. Where are your people from?
Oh, my mom is from Somalia. My dad from Chicago.
There you go, a fresh and misfit.
What does that mean?
There he goes. Yeah, he's one of them, y'all. Yeah.
Also, white supremacy doesn't exist.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
It doesn't.
All right. Yeah, there you go. Of course. White supremacy does not exist. Right.
I have a valid point to bring up why this is the case.
Sir, your homeland is proof that white supremacy exists.
No, it's proof that Khazarians and Jesuits are the most powerful individuals.
Okay, sir, which Khazarians and Jesuits are you referring to? The black ones?
Yeah, there actually are some black Jesuits.
Oh, good. Show me. No. Show me the black Jesuits who are in power. Name them.
No, I didn't.
Name them. Name the black Khazarians or black Jesuits who are in power, sir.
Obama, for one, his mom is a Rothschild.
What the hell does that have to do with? What the hell does that have to do with Khazarians?
Obama is a Jesuit.
Are you trying to claim that he is a representative of Jesuits, sir?
Yes.
Where is his Jesuit support?
His Jesuit support is the fact that his mom is a Rothschild.
His mother's been dead since he was a child.
And actually,
his mother has been dead since he was a kid.
Which has been reported in his story. Who is he, actually? Who is this guy that we report the story on? He's clearly the victor. And the fact that we go off of history and whatnot, and the fact that white people, you say, which, I mean, the Khazarians and the
Sir,
Jesuits,
if white supremacy does not exist, then why are you over here in North America and not in Somalia?
If white supremacy exists, how come there are a lot of poor white people that exist?
Second try. If white supremacy does not exist, why are you in North America and not in Somalia?
The same reason why there are white people more white people who have welfare than any other race.
You're talking about in raw numbers per capita, it's not. And furthermore, it doesn't matter because white people have a system that protects them in ways that you're not protected.
Yeah, same thing. Perfect example would be the woman's pension.
No, sir. A perfect example would be the public school system.
Well, the public school system is tied to the zip code.
Sir, the public school system, if you're in the public school system, is because you have to be.
No, that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to be. It's mostly the case for individuals who cannot afford to pay for a private school.
Dude, what the hell is that sweatshirt you got on? What the hell is that purple camouflage you wearing?
What brand is it?
I said, what the hell is that thing?
Oh, it's a purple camouflage pullover. I thought you said it. You said exactly what it was.
Okay, because I'm thinking, is that one of them footy things? What do they call it? One of them Hello Kitty things that got the little feet on it? There's just a onesie?
Yeah, you're funny.
I'm just checking. It looks like a big purple camouflage onesie. And I'm just like, is this nigga coming through the drive-thru at Bojangles in a purple onesie? And he's trying to tell us that white supremacy don't exist and he's going to educate us on slavery.
That sounds like a false equivalency. I'm not wearing a onesie even. I'm wearing a pullover. You got to think practically.
All right. Sir. Moving right along here. Sir, do you think that you just sat here and told us you're the majority white hospital? You're sitting here saying that white supremacy does not exist.
Yeah, I don't believe white supremacy exists.
You don't believe it. Now, you don't have a fact for it. It's just, I don't believe it. So when you see racism, what do you think?
I can give a fact. I'll answer that question though, but the fact that I would say is that there are more poor white people than there are
that's a lie. That's untrue.
There are more white people. That is true though. There are more poor white people in this country than there are poor black people in this country. And then also if white supremacy exists, then that would mean that all these Slavic countries, because white means that you don't know where the hell your country is you have allegiance to, which is the same issue with black people also, the phrase.
Sir, we're not gonna ramble all night here, sir.
But I'll just end it with that.
Sir, we're not gonna ramble. We're not going to ramble here all night, sir.
Gotcha.
If white supremacy, first of all, it's not more white people in poverty because white people being poor is not the same as you being poor. It doesn't. That's the first sign that you are ignorant of how white supremacy works. White people have the ability to, their separation for them from wealth is far fewer dimensions than yours. What makes them poor is not what makes you poor. White people have got $1 million worth of whiteness. A white woman who is broke in a trailer park can accuse you or Bill Cosby or the richest black man in the world of a crime, and she's got more credibility than you. Okay, he's calling us on his Somalia mobile. Okay, sir, if white supremacy doesn't exist, why is it you don't have a better SIM card?
Equivalency.
Yeah, sir, if white supremacy doesn't exist, why are you still using a Boost Mobile? If white supremacy does not exist,
I'm using T-Mobile.
Okay. He's using boot.
But
he's using Bojangle Mobile.
About racism.
Yeah. I will let his cell phone service be a testament to how ready he is. I'll let it be a testament to that. Yeah.
Answer your question as to what I think racism is.
Somebody in the chat room said Tether Mobile.
Connection still bad, sir?
Sir, y'all, we're gonna hold a collection to see if we can get him moved over to AT&T or Verizon. We'll hold a collection and see if we can do that. By the way, he's even got the Tether look to it here. Boy, I'm telling you.
I am working on becoming monetized slowly but surely. I'm not that successful.
No, sir. Well, I'm sure Pearly Things needs a new bootlick, so just go ahead and send in your application and you'll be fine with that. By the way, you were asked several times to explain to us where slavery was exaggerated. You don't have a single clue. You don't have anything to do for that.
Oh, yeah. Slavery was exaggerated with Harriet Tubman, for example.
And
she didn't do all that stuff.
She didn't do all what stuff?
She didn't like the entirety of like her doing the Underground Railroad system and whatnot, and those exaggerated numbers. That's not necessarily true at all how that went.
Okay, sir, how did you do an analysis of it to be able to say that?
I suppose that's actually a great question. So the thing is, the same individuals who gave us the English language, the same individuals who gave us the days of the week and the Gregorian calendar and the alphanumeric.
Sir, I'm going to ask this one time because you are going off on a whole bunch of coon babble.
Trust me,
sir. How did you analyze the numbers of how many people she helped? Where did you do your research?
Largely due to the fact that her being an individual and whatnot is largely falsified. And the proof can be made by this thing what I was saying in the beginning. It's nothing but a ploy set by
Sir, are you saying that Harriet Tubman was not a real person?
As we described her in terms of all the feats she had quote unquote accomplished, she's not that person. Just like Malcolm X.
Okay, sir, are you saying that she did not exist?
She's a Manchurian candidate. Does not mean she did not exist.
Okay. Sir, there's really, I could literally sit here and clown you for days. The only problem is I just want folks to understand the background and the credentials. This is the kind of guy that they keep bringing over here. Because he'll sit here and look at white supremacy.
People don't study biochemistry. People don't study biochemistry.
Sir, you don't study history, language, common sense, rationality. You're divorced of all of that. You get asked questions and then you go off on conspiracy babble. And that's the real problem.
Conspiracy is a phrase created by the CIA, though. That's also a problem.
A person who is divorced from reality and divorced from facts is a problem. Here's what I want for you to do. Did your mom and your dad come over with you? Or are you here are you an anchor baby?
Anchor baby. So my dad is from Chicago.
Okay. Your dad should have found a different broad. Where's your mom?
That's quite insulting. Are you a Christian? You're not supposed to judge people.
No, sir. I mean, I'm not a particularly religious person. But if I were a Christian, I would be baptizing you and your whole family if I were.
You were baptized. No, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do that though.
You want to bet?
Yeah, my life on it.
All I need is a body of water or a bucket. A bucket of water. Yeah. That's all. I just need a bucket of water. That's all I need.
Like
trust me. It'll go real quick. Me and a bucket of water. This will go real fast. Trust me. Where's your mother?
I can't trust that. That's not really true.
You ain't got to trust it. Don't worry. It's like gravity. You don't have to believe in gravity. Gravity's going to work on you whether you believe it or not. Where's your mama?
9.81 meters per second squared won't apply in this situation, sir.
Where's your mother?
Where's your mother?
Spanking yours.
No. My mama actually cut a guy ear to ear in Somalia. I don't think that will happen.
Sir, your mama is over there in Somalia right now trying to work the track as we speak. If you don't stop lying.
Oh, we're getting into mom jokes.
Sir, I just not a mom joke, sir. I asked you where your mother was, and then you wanted to start making jokes. I'm just following up with you here.
It actually wasn't a joke. My mom literally cut a guy ear to ear.
Okay, sir, your mama is trying to be a Cicely Tyson of the track over there in Somalia. If you don't quit lying on my phone.
That sounds like no. Actually, I'm going to write a book on my mom's life.
It'll be a short one. Why don't you let me write it? It'll be short. Trust me.
Actually, it's not short.
We can write it on the back of a milk carton. I'll save us all a bunch of time.
This is actually symptomatic as to what's wrong with the black culture as a whole.
Who are you qualified to speak on black culture? You're not even from here.
I am from here. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, home of 80% black people. And I see the coonery and whatnot in your voice, which is actually what true coonery is.
This is the guy who just told us that there's no racism because white folks at his job gave him Employee of the Month.
I didn't say that now. I
said that is what you said.
There's no white supremacy.
Racism is white. White supremacy is racism. There's only one.
True, though.
White supremacy is racism. Because
I'll let you talk.
There's nothing you cannot go. There's nothing you can do to white folk that you can enforce. They can do wrong things to you, and they can enforce it. There's nothing you can do to them that you can enforce.
Yes, that is
true. You don't have a system behind you that will help you to be able to penalize and oppress white people.
I mean, I don't know how you can say that. That's not a true statement.
Where's the system? Where's the system that you have that will help you as a black person to carry out anti-white racism? Where's the system you have?
The agenda that's been going on right now, the individuals and whatnot, like how we have a Black History Month, which is a joke in and of itself, for example.
And we have a White History Year, sir.
We don't have a White History Year.
Yes, we do. True. Every other day. First of all, we don't have a Black History Month. Second of all, they're rewriting the history books as we speak, sir. So we don't even have our history. Okay, well,
I agree with that.
But we're not allowed to. We're not removing white people's history from the books. Why is it they're only removing black but not white if there's no white supremacy?
Wait, you said why removing white? But not
they're
black,
only removing
no
black. They're only removing black people's experience from the history books, not white people's. Why is that if there's no white supremacy?
They're also moving white.
Sir, third time, sir. They're only removing black people's experience from the history books, not white people's. Why is how can that be if there's no white supremacy?
That's actually not true, though.
What part of, sir? Well, if there's no white supremacy, why are they removing black people's history from the history books?
You said only at first.
Yes, sir. We're the only ones being targeted to remove our history from it.
That's not true.
This is the Somalian kid talking.
Yeah, I'm Practical Absolutes. Nice to meet you, sir. But the thing is, though, for example, the individuals who were against the Jesuits,
sir,
the individuals who were against the Knights Templar, they were
sir, you are what we call a smart dummy in life.
I don't call myself smart at all.
Just be quiet. You're not learning anything.
I actually am learning that you're quite insulting and you don't listen to truth.
This guy is a conspiracy. By the way, this is a conspiracy nut, is what they are. But he's also a international coon. The only thing that would be problematic is whether or not anybody actually believed him, which nobody does because he's outlandish as hell. And he's also meandering and babbling as hell. If he actually brought some facts and figures to anything, he would be dangerous. But as it stands, the only thing he'll really do is just sit there and say, well, ain't no white supremacy. And Pearly Things and Her Kind and Adam 22, this is the kind of guy they'll bring in. And YouTube would love to be able to boost him if he could actually find a clue or a fact or a figure. Here's the real problem.
Don't support
this
Adam
moron is about 2 seconds away from being a hashtag on Twitter or being a memorial account on Facebook. He gets pulled over by the police or hemmed up by some white supremacists or their girlfriends that he'll be chasing after. And then all of a sudden he'll sit up here and turn out like Stephen Clark. And then they'll be sitting up here singing and talking about holding a GoFundMe. So, kid,
I only do marriage.
Your entertainment value has expired. If we were all fortunate enough, your dad wouldn't have gotten wrapped up with your mom. But then again, stupid is as stupid does. I did the program here a few days ago about the immigrants, the immigrant class out there, See, Y'all are not policing dudes like this. See, I'm not supposed to have to say anything. Where the hell are the Somalians out here to say something about this guy? Where the hell are the Somalians to pull him up? Where are y'all at? I shouldn't have to say anything. Y'all should be on deck to do that. He ain't gonna show his face in Memphis talking like that. Don't put that on Memphis. Don't put that on Memphis. This nigga can't drive nowhere around Memphis talking this foolishness. That's why he's sitting in the car hiding out at McDonald's. He's not going to stand nowhere and say that. No, you see, you're right in the chat room. Somalians don't consider themselves black. Shout out Officer Mohammed Nawar. They don't consider themselves black. So when we start talking about racism, white supremacy, there's no racism, there's no white supremacy. Although the first time that something happens that he doesn't like, he'll be the first one putting on a dashiki and a beret and a black fist and some combat boots. He'll just, and the Nation of Islam bow tie, he'll be all mixed up. He'll find everything he can. Give me that Nation of Islam bow tie and a dashiki and a Black Panther jacket. Let me get a beret and a shotgun and some combat boots. He'll be having the whole 9 yards on. He'll have the whole. Do you got a Marcus Garvey hat? That Marcus Garvey hat with the big feather on it? Yeah, can I get one of them? He'll be coming up to the damn courthouse with an afro. He got his hair tied into a bun. That's the other thing. He's got his hair tied into a bun. Really? It's 2023. His hair's tied in a bun. But he's telling you there's no white supremacy. I don't think there's white supremacy. How old are you? 20-something years old, sir. And there's no Harriet Tubman. She's fake. And Malcolm X and Barack Obama. Now, they're fake. Santa Claus, now that's real. Easter Bunny, that's real. White supremacy is not real, but Easter Bunny is real. Yes, the Rothschilds and the Bilderbergs and Blackstone and BlackRock and Black Rob and Rob Base. I believe in those, sir. Where is your dad so we can all pimp slap the hell out of him for letting you grow up like this? Dude, you trying too damn hard to get a guest slot on Pearly Things. You trying too hard. Shout out in the chat room to my man Dion Coleman and Tommy Felix and everybody else who supports tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Yeah, boy, I'm telling you. They say beauty is only skin deep, but stupidity cuts clean to the bone. Sitting here on my program, I'm sorry I had the damn wrong screen up here. You all couldn't see him wearing that purple camouflage onesie he was wearing. He's acting like he's wearing a damn pullover. I'm like, okay, dude, this looks like a whole damn Hello Kitty purple onesie you wearing. What the hell is this? Well, you trying to pretend you gonna teach us about slavery. There's no white supremacy. We living in it every day. There's no white supremacy. You all are just sensitive about it there. I mean, it's just, this and all that's okay. He thinks he can hide. See, there's the problem. There's a bunch of folks who think that kissing white ass is gonna help you to hide from white supremacy. Well, don't worry. I'll get protection. I just need to hide somewhere. If you just let me hide somewhere, I'll be okay. There's no white supremacy at my job. Why, I just got Employee of the Month, and it's a majority white hospital, so there's no white supremacy because I got Employee of the Month. He's got Employee of the Month. They pay him so well, he's at McDonald's. What kind of hospital got you buying dinner at McDonald's, dude? What kind of hospital you at and working for and they got you buying dinner at McDonald's? Let me go ahead and see if I can get somebody else here up on Zoom. By the way, if you are on Zoom, make sure you're going to have to turn on your camera and your microphone for us here. We will give you 5 seconds or permanent vacation. You all know the drill. No, we'll not wait all night for you here either. So if you called up, you know how to turn it on. All right, we got Jared here on Zoom. What's on your mind?
Jace, I'm right there with you. It's really interesting. And by the way, you've really opened my eyes to what is going on in the YouTube space. I think when we look at everything that we've been exposed to, just thinking Kevin Samuels, thinking about their relationships, and wow, this goes so much deeper. I'm with you. I hope to be able to connect with you and find out more offline about how we can kind of rally the troops and get everybody on the same page.
All right. Thank you very much, brother. We appreciate that. Let me see if I can get Blog Talk here. Caller from area code 646. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens.
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
So I thought it was interesting how Pearly Things came to my recommend in YouTube, because I had never heard of her until about a year ago, when Kevin Samuels was riding the wave. And I just thought it was interesting because I honestly believe that she's put there as a plant in order to shift the conversation, right? So she'll have Black people on her show who ostensibly agree with her, right? And they're just kind of amening every word that she says. And I believe that gives, well, the perception of legitimacy is trying to be created. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, look, I mean, folks were asking me a year ago that after Kevin died, what was YouTube going to do? And I told them, you already know what they're going to do. They're going to pick another one. You're going to see somebody else, and they're just going to rock it up in subscribers. You're going to see YouTube show them everywhere. So they're just going to pick somebody. There's got to be somebody safe and somebody they know is dependable, and just watch. They're going to be saying the exact same thing. Now, I actually had a couple of dudes I was looking at, and I was like, they're probably going to, I'm looking at you two guys, and then I saw Pearly. Now, remember, I'd already said before that if these fellas if Fresh and Fit and them keep, those kind of guys, keep sitting up here pushing them kind of people, and the Manosphere sits up here and keeps pushing that, then I'll say, y'all are going to be sitting up here following a white woman before it's over. Now, you remember I said that over a year ago. Y'all are going to keep it up and be following a white woman. Sure, and she was the one I was talking about. Everybody knew I was talking about her. I said I was talking about Pearly Things. Y'all going to follow a white woman. And sure enough, that was what it was. As soon as they saw the coast was clear, YouTube was like, okay, this is what we're boosting. No, she's not the smartest. She's not very smart. She's not very well informed. She's not very articulate, but she's able to get Negroes to show up in sufficient enough numbers to humiliate themselves. So having that attribute alone is valuable. That's why you see Valuetainment now trying to get on with the same energy. That's why you see them doing it, because they're like, hey, and we're white men. We got real money. We got real influence. We got a real platform. So that's what you're seeing now. Now, understand, y'all, this is far from over. Look, after Kevin died, I told you what was gonna happen next. Pearly Things is down, folks. It's gonna happen again. Now, this time they're probably gonna pivot back to somebody, probably some immigrant or something, or some biracial. Melanie King is stomping as hard as she can. By the way, Melanie, you ain't never gonna make it, but just keep trying, baby. But you ain't never gonna make it. Just forget about it. You're more phony than her, but you don't even have any Black support. So, baby, give it up. Just give it up. You're just making a fool of yourself. But they're hunting out who it can be. The lead attorney, he's now fallen off, so that's curtains for him. The Black Manosphere has gone down in flames. But they're searching for the next one. There's another one who's out there on a farm team now. They're just waiting. They're most likely what you're going to see happen is they're just going to get cut straight to the chase. So they're probably either going to send them directly to something like to Valuetainment or something like it. Now they'll send them over there. Now you can't get them through Rollo, because Rollo knows his influence has already fallen off, and he's too much of a turf warrior to try to hold on to what little crumbs he can get. So Rollo does it. That's why he fell out with Richard Cooper and them. That was the thing right there. I told y'all before, by the way, they're going to pull out the knives on each other, which is exactly what they did, by the way. I told everybody they were going to pull out the knives on each other over there in the white red pill, because they ain't used to making no money. And I told you success was going to kill them. Failure was what was hurting Black folk. Success was what hurt the white guys. So as soon as they started succeeding, they started pulling out the knives on each other Every time they get together in a group, it turns into Lord of the Flies or Game of Thrones. That's what it turns, because they don't believe in letting another person run the place. This is what happens when you have a bunch of individuals who subscribe to a philosophy of being, quote, the alpha, because in their minds, alphas don't run in packs. So they would have to, how can I call myself an alpha if I'm submitting myself to Rolo? Well, how are you submitting yourself? Well, if I'm not running this, then I must be submitting to him. And if they have even minor nuanced disagreements about certain things, that becomes a reason and a justification for them to go to war with each other. That becomes a justification. And I saw it then. I'm like, this is the mindset you all have. That colonizer mindset is going to be the reason y'all don't get any further. That's why you guys can't get any further, because you're all colonists. And now you're trying to colonize each other. So that was the reason they couldn't make it. I'm looking for somebody else. Right now, the person has not shown themselves. Not yet. They're not of any significant numbers, and they haven't presented themselves or shown themselves yet. But trust and believe, YouTube is already looking for them. They're already looking for somebody. Look for whoever the next person is who gets a bunch of black folk around them. I don't think they're going to go for another fresh and misfit. Look for the next person, biracial or white. That's what they're going to be looking for. They want a white or biracial. And look for the next person who can galvanize them. There's a couple of folks out there doing some real anti-black woman talk. You ain't going to rise. That's not going to make it. Look for a biracial or a white person who's gathering a bunch of black folk around them. That's the signal you're looking for. When you see that, that's going to be the one they give the boost to.
That is so true. You know, it's like with the biracial thing, especially. It's like you have an inroad to two communities, right? So you're able to communicate with both and garner information that you can flip and then pass on to the white supremacists, and they do whatever they want with it. But I'm going to land my plane there, so be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get back over here to Zoom. Let me see. I got Jay Prince for president. All right. That's a party ticket we can get with. All right, brother, what's on your mind?
Hey, I'm Jay Prince for president. And you was talking about and I like what you just said about the biracial thing or white people. I speaks about that a whole lot. And two things I want to say about Judge Purley. Now, Judge Purley used to come to our platforms, and first off, he started off watching it, right? And before she blew up, when you look at her videos from the beginning, she was only getting like 1,000 views. Certain stuff she wasn't even talking about. But the moment she started dibbing and dabbing into the black culture and stuff like that, her numbers started going up. Then we noticed a lot of her talking points was actually my talking points. That because we had conversations talking amongst black folks, and a lot of people was I made a lot of people upset by the stuff that I used to say, but it wasn't that I was saying something that was wrong. I was saying what I believe was the truth, and it caught a lot of people attention. And so when I was listening, when she came to the Lapeef Network show, and she got to start talking and having conversations with B. Taylor, and I found myself agreeing with her to everything she was saying. Then I caught on. Somebody had chatted me, inboxed me. She said, Jay Prince, she stole majority of your talking points.
Well, she got a lot of things from a few different folk, and that formed her foundation. And basically, once she got further, she was just learning. She went to a bunch of places and was learning. Okay, what's the lingo? What's the foundation? What are the principles? And then she just started doing what they do. You know, they culture vulture and just rip off whatever we're doing and then repackage it and then sell it back to you, because they understand that there's a number of folks out there that if they feel like this is coming from a white person, then that's going to bring them validation, but don't believe it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me get back over here to Blog Talk. Let me get calling from area code 903. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Janae from Dallas, Texas.
All right, Janae from Dallas. What's on your mind?
I might have a quick question, which I listened to your show, but I don't think I really heard you just really speak on it. But what do you think, or what are
how long have you been listening?
How do you think reparations should be given to Black
slow
Americans?
Down. How long have you been listening?
A couple of years. I haven't watched all your shows.
Okay, then
but
if you've been listening for a couple of
listening
for a couple of years, then you know better than to say it's a show.
Okay.
You claim you've been listening for a couple of years, but you know this is not a show. This is a broadcast. Steve Harvey has a show. D.L. Hughley has a show. Fresh and Fit have a show. So if you've been listening for a couple of years, you know I make that correction all the time. So things sound rather suspect already. But what was your question? We'll just play along anyway. What was your question?
Oh, well, okay. Well, no, I'm just asking about reparations.
Okay. And what about reparations?
Well, I mean, I guess, how do you think it should be given out to?
Okay. Are we discussing reparations? Are we discussing reparations tonight?
No, we're not. But okay. Sorry about that.
She says she's been listening to the program for a couple of years. She wasn't listening to the program tonight before she called in. Somebody come get your auntie. Auntie, chill. Caller from area code 917. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 917 is engaged in mortal combat with his telephone. So, as it stands, I hope he survives the conflict. I did tonight's program here because I wanted to point out that this is bigger than pearly things. It has always been bigger than pearly things. I've been pointing this out since day one. It's always been bigger than that. Always. They started out with it when you saw these carpetbaggers come in the room. When you saw them come in the room, you should have known something was wrong when you saw them come in the room. They're sitting up here packaging up what we made and then reselling it to us. They never should have been allowed in the room. That's the problem. All these people out here that because the white red pill and the white media outlets and the white YouTube channels wouldn't let you on, then they just sat back to see how many folk would be willing to sell their souls to get on. But folks, I'm telling you, valuetainment is not going to be dumb enough to say some of the stuff that Pearly Things said. And if you got to wait for them to say that, I'm showing you the evidence of their anti-black behaviors right here. We shouldn't have to go any further. I'm showing you the proof and showing you the evidence now. I was showing it before Pearly Things went off on her anti-black rants. You got to be able to recognize these things when they're clearly in your face. You just want to keep watching. Well, if I got to believe it, then I feel some kind of way about continuing to watch. Hey, I'm not even telling you stop doing that. I'm just saying, hey, just look yourself in the mirror and just say, hey, look, Jason, I'm a coon, damn it. Now let me watch my valuetainment. Okay, man, coon on. Just coon on, man. Hey, just if you going to be that, stand on it. Stop acting like that's not what you are. If that's what you're going to be, just stand on it. And just say, hey, Jason, look, damn it, I'm going to coon it up. Let me watch my valuetainment, man. Look here. I hope the police just don't get me tonight. And hey, coon on, dude. Coon on. Stand on it. Caller from area code 813. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is 400 out of Tampa.
All right, 400 out of Tampa. What's on your mind?
Hey, if slavery was exaggerated, how come 99% of us have our white slave master's last name? Like, I'm glad you calling all these fucking coons out, all these international coons, local coons, and everything else, man. We appreciate you. We're going to keep listening. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, you're running into all kinds of uncomfortable questions when you try to defend that stuff. You run into all kinds of uncomfortable questions because you start sounding crazy, or more importantly, you start sounding white supremacist. And I'm like, if you're going to do that, go ahead and be that. But for the rest of us here, man, y'all better just wake up and recognize when you start hearing these warning signs, we shouldn't need them to sit up here and declare, well, slavery was exaggerated. Because you notice all these other folks are saying the same thing. Trigonometry was agreeing that slavery was exaggerated. They're saying the same thing. Valuetainment was saying the slavery exaggerated, got real quiet. They're endorsing the same thing. You can't wait. They understood that was the kiss of death for pearly things. So they're all like, okay, well, we're smarter than her. We're not going to say that. We have to be watchful and vigilant to recognize it when we hear it. Caller from area code 262. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Jay Prince for president. I don't know what happened.
Okay, brother, your time is up, brother. That's what happened to it. But thank you very much for giving us a call. Folks, well, we got folk who want to talk here tonight and things. This isn't a marathon. So get in, get it, and get out. This is not, hey, Jason, can I get the mic and talk for 10 minutes? That's not the way it works. No offense. No offense, but get in, get it, and get out. Caller from area code 803. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Kevin calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
Kevin from Columbia. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I noticed a thing with this Miss Pearly things. She started to eat, more frequently, especially after Kevin Samuels died. And I noticed that Manosphere red pill people, they got a lot of right wing, like thoughts, and it's really ridiculous.
Well, look, here's the way it works. If you're a white woman who gets too old, you can reinvent yourself as a Fox News right winger. So if you're a white woman and you can't really pull anymore in society and you can't do that, then you can just go to Fox News and start saying a bunch of anti-black stuff and you can have a second career. Here's another thing, though. If you're a black male who tries to get into media or get online and either in the real world you haven't been able to make it as an alpha or you haven't been able to cut it as a black man, well, you can just get online and start cleaning it up. There's some white folk, you can enter that sweepstakes. It's unlikely you'll win, but if you haven't been able to make it as a black male, you can get online and start cleaning it up. And hopefully, maybe you'll get on. Crazy part, none of the dudes who were trying to help Pearly things, it didn't boost their numbers, and it didn't help her. But I want you to recognize the way the rules work. If you're a black male who has failed to make it as a black male, well, then just go ahead and get online and start saying craziness and go ahead and start talking like the white supremacists do. Start talking like them. And if you do it long enough, maybe you can be their little sidekick. Here's the crazy part. She only going to break you off about 15, 20%. That's about as much as your soul is worth. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 904. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Will, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. What's on your mind?
All right. Now, I wanted to say, first and foremost, I appreciate you and for actually breaking the mold and really being a pioneer, brother, on this YouTube, thing, and really exposing what the real situation is and what's really important of the things that we need to be paying attention to. I wanted to get your perspective on something when you say that it's bigger than Pearly things. I remember on YouTube, right, when it came to, I remember YouTube announced that Leor Cohen was the global head of music on YouTube. And I was like, what the hell does that even mean? And then when you look at the type of artists that are getting deals, it's just like the same type of artists over and over and over again. Any artist that's going to talk about genocide to the black community, any artist that's going to talk about pimping hoes and, slapping black women around or anything negative towards the black community. Even Tekashi 6ix9ine, bro, they gave him a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I haven't really seen anybody.
Like,
I haven't really seen any rappers claim the fame as slapping black women around. So I haven't seen anything like that. But what I will say is certainly yes. First of all, that was way before Leor Cohen. I mean, that didn't start with Leor here. That was only about 5 or 6 years ago. So that didn't start with Leor Cohen. Yeah. That train had already left the station a long time ago. Hell, Beyonce started changing the way she was doing years ago. So that train left the station a while ago. You can take a look at MTV back when they used to play music. Take a look at BET even before Bob Johnson sold it. We can go down the list. So it's been out there for a minute. Where YouTube is making an advent is in the world of broadcasting. Y'all call it podcasting, which is crazy because there's no more podcasts because nobody has a pod anymore. But anyway, never mind. The name is out there. We won't quibble over it. But that's where YouTube is making the pivot now. YouTube's pivot now. YouTube Music is just supposed to be a way for YouTube to work with the recording labels and the recording distributors. So basically, YouTube is taking YouTube wants to make sure that it doesn't end up like Yahoo Movies. Let's be clear about that. YouTube just wants to make sure it doesn't end up like Yahoo Movies. So if YouTube gets into the music business, it wants to make sure it stays viable in the music business. Well, that means that you can't have the music companies going to some other outlet. So you can't have them doubling back and going to radio or MTV. You got to make sure when they come over here, they stay.
Correct.
So you need somebody who works in the industry who knows how to talk to them so that once they bring their stuff over here, it stays. So it's really about getting entree to the distributors and things and making sure they stay where they are. As far as the music acts are concerned, man, like I say, I mean, right now the field is wide open. The only thing that they excel at is they'll take a few people and they kind of boost the image of it. So you get Cardi B, somebody with no rap credentials whatsoever, another stripper, and then Meg Thee Stallion, an individual who emulates stripping even though she doesn't. We can go down the list. So yeah, in that regard, they kind of have a template that they've been running. Certainly they have that. I would argue I would argue with you that it's mostly been unsuccessful. Meg Thee Stallion has not done great numbers. I argue with anybody show me the great numbers that Meg Thee Stallion has done. She's been a marketing coup in a lot of regards, but somebody show me where she's this multi-platinum selling artist. Show me where she's moving them kind of numbers. What's her name? Chloe Bailey. Chloe Bailey. Well, okay, Chloe Bailey, who just got stretched out. She's sitting up here. She was so desperate. She was so desperate to get famous or be seen that you can see her in The Little Mermaid, or if you really just want to see her butt naked, you can go see her get stretched out on Donald Glover's little television show. Okay, but here's the thing. Her album numbers, I just saw a story. Y'all can look it up on YouTube, on Hot 97's YouTube page. Go to the community page. This woman Chloe Bailey is literally on stage telling her fans, oh yeah, and by the way, go support the effing album. Don't give a F what the haters say. Come support the effing album. Yeah, because her album sales have been low. So she better work on putting the arch in her back. She better work on that because I think that's the only way she's going to have a financial future. So I would argue to you that you're seeing a template. I don't want you all to get confused and to think that a template that's given a marketing push is actually influential. Don't get confused.
Correct. I got one more question before you go, man. I love your perspectives on this. All right. Now everybody's talking. Now when you say another thing too, when you say it's bigger than pearly things and about white supremacy and how they're basically trying to do what they did in slavery times and steal all our intellectual property with this new AI shit, brother. I don't know if you've seen today, Eminem and Universal is suing AI for coming up with the copycat.
Well, definitely.
Eminem
I mean,
song.
certainly watch your stuff there because what they're doing is it's using already existing material as the education or knowledge base that the programs are using to run on. But that's a bit off topic from what we're talking about here tonight. So, folks, let's make sure we stay on topic here. We're not general discussion. So, folks, if you can't be on topic here, maybe I'll do a general discussion some other night, but we're talking about something specific here. So let's try to stay focused. I know sometimes it can be hard, but let's stay focused. I know you got a lot in your minds. Maybe one night I will do a general topic or something like that. We'll see. But for now, let's go ahead and stay focused here. Let me go ahead and see. I've got somebody here on Zoom. I'm going to give them 5 seconds to go ahead and get themselves straightened out. So they got their mic on. We'll go ahead and do everything else here. Okay, you are taking a permanent vacation. Let's get caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Smooth from Brooklyn, New York.
All right, Smooth from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
All right. So this is about the kid that was in the car that said he had the medical degree and biochemistry, whatever else. So my comment to that is, if he hasn't experienced any racism, well, does he think he's not going to experience racism in the future? I mean, is he not going to be passed up for promotions or, even just like a small pay raise?
Well, no, wait. What he was telling you was that the same thing that lead attorney and the rest of them were saying. He wasn't arguing that he hasn't encountered racism. He's arguing that it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, if you encounter it, it's just, that was just one ignorant person. So basically that's what he was saying. If he encounters it, he'll just tell you it was something else. He'll just redefine it. I just did a program 3 days ago about the immigrants. It's saying, they're always caping for racism. And this guy calls up and he just wants to prove me right all over again. So he'll just tell you it's something else. He'll experience it and you'll be like, wow, them folks are racist. No, they're just ignorant, dude. They're just really ignorant. I mean, it's just what it is right there. You know what I mean? It's just, they just don't know any better. That would be him.
And on the topic of that, on immigrants, so what do you think of this small story? And I'll let you go. So I had a friend who I visited his apartment. He has a beautiful studio. And then I see that he has this huge painting, this masterpiece that looked like it was done by Da Vinci or whoever. But it was a painting of James Baldwin, right? So I asked him if he knows of James Baldwin's works, like his books, and and what he thought of him. And this friend of mine, by the way, happens to be from the islands. He's from St. Croix. And he told me a little bit about it. He didn't really know too much. And then when I asked him about racism and his thoughts on it, he says that he doesn't know anything about racism and that he never experienced it. It's all in people's heads. It's just an American thing. But then I pointed back to that same picture of James Baldwin, and I said that you're familiar with James Baldwin, but you're not familiar with his talks on racism, his views on racism, how it was back in the day, in the 1940s, 50s, whenever he was around. It was a while ago. During segregation and Jim Crow.
Well, definitely. And thank you for giving us a call here tonight. Folks, like I said, we're kind of drifting off here. So some folks are trying to talk about something in general, but we're talking about something specific here. So let's make sure we stay focused on that, folks. Let's stay focused. We're not here to go off on, well, Jason, can we talk about what I want to talk about? No, we don't want to talk about what you want to talk about tonight. Let's stay focused. Caller from area code 832. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, I'm Rachel from Houston. How are you doing, Jason?
Rachel from Houston, and what's on your mind?
Okay, you just cut off the other gentleman from talking about stuff that's like off the wall, but I think maybe my topic is off the wall. Maybe, I don't know.
It may be. Let's go ahead. What did you want to find out? What did you want to ask me?
Yes, sir. I was trying to understand, like, where do you think this whole Black Manosphere, like how did the black men, start following a person like Pearly? Like, where did this come from? Because, I know that, we've always been together, as black people and stuff, but where do you think
actually, that's a misnomer. No, I'm not. Where did you get the idea, the quote, we've always been together as black folk? Where did you get that idea?
I'm just saying, in general, black people, I feel.
I'm just asking, where did you get that idea or that impression from? You just said that statement. I'm asking you where that came from.
Okay, from like back in the day with the Martin Luther King and the, Malcolm X, movement and stuff.
Okay.
I felt like we've always been,
black folk were together.
Black people.
You thought black people were together back then?
Okay, I know that no, sir, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Okay,
that
Rachel, let me find out some information here, Rachel, because I'm helping you out here. You asked for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some misconceptions and some misnomers. So let's see if we can get to the bottom of where your origin of your misnomers came from. How old are you, Rachel?
Yes, sir. I'm 41.
Okay, well, she's a bit old for this part here. Rachel, we've never had listen very carefully, black people as a group have never had a plurality of black people we've never had a plurality of black people who are on the same page. That's never been the case.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, as far as a standing, constant understanding, every black person sees racism and knows it exists. That isn't where the problem comes from. The problem comes from now how many of you are going to do something about it. Take it beyond the knowledge stage and the thinking stage and proceed to the action stage. That has always been a major hurdle. The young coon who called in earlier, the Somalian Sambo who called in earlier.
Yes.
Talking about trying to speak on Harriet Tubman, which, by the way, she had a solution for individuals like him, but we'll discuss that later. Harriet Tubman is famous for saying one thing, that they said she freed many slaves. She said, I could have freed many more if I could have convinced them they were slaves. That was her saying.
Okay.
I could have freed many more if I could have convinced them that they were slaves. So what she's telling you is there were a bunch of black folk who told her, I think I'll stay on the plantation. I think I'll stay here. Even living under those conditions, they told her, we'll just stay here. Now that was during the middle of chattel slavery. Fast forward to the Timothy Drews, fast forward to the Marcus Garveys, coming off the plantations. We've never had a plurality of black people who made it part of their daily mission to overthrow white supremacy.
To be together.
So you've always kind of had a third is what you've kind of had. 1/3 fighting it, 1/3 collaborating with it, and 1/3 who kind of falls in the middle. And that's pretty much what you've had.
Yes, sir.
Do not deceive yourself into believing that Marcus Garvey represented all or most black people. His autobiography, or you can take a look at the wonderful book, is thick, but you can read it. The Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. I've read it years and years ago when I was in high school. Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. This man did not have popular support. Malcolm X spent his life telling you he didn't have popular support. Dr. King spent his life telling you he didn't have popular support. They never had that. What you had was a highly motivated group of individuals, but they did not represent the majority. Now, they certainly represented the interests, the best interests of the majority, but do not be deceived into thinking that black society as a group were all these little Malcolm X-ites. That was never the case. Never. It wouldn't have been so easy to kill these men if you had had the majority of the society behind you. Now, what you did have were a number of events that were happening simultaneously, and these men spoke to that. Dr. King was probably the one who was most well-known and most promoted. Malcolm X caught fire with the young. But even then, Malcolm X's heyday was not in the 60s. Malcolm X's heyday was in the 90s. When high schoolers like me and college students like me got a hold of him. But the civil rights generation was not backing Malcolm. Malcolm said that. Truth be told, the civil rights generation was not backing Dr. King like that. They more of them backed him than backed Malcolm. But they weren't this generation of Black Panthers out there. That was never the case. That's a lie. So if you are under the misnomer that because you saw the March on Washington, that the March on Washington represented the majority of black society, the March on Washington did not represent the majority of black society any more than the Million Man March represented the majority of black men. Now, did it represent a sizable number? Yes. Did it certainly represent far more than the immigrant class? Absolutely. But don't think that that represented a plurality as far as the spirit and the motive. The numbers bear that out. The numbers bear that out. Take a look. The numbers. I can name for you so many black cities. Think about that for a moment. I made that point to Jared Taylor when I talked to him, when he was trying to claim that black folk voted wrong along racial lines, just like white people. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Black people in most cities in America have had nothing but white politicians to vote for. And I can name for you a number of black cities that voted for white politicians to represent them. Detroit voted for Mayor Duggan. New Orleans voted for Mitch Landrieu. I said, if black people voted along racial lines, then Alan Keyes would be serving his 4th term as president. Then Jared changed it up and said, well, they'll vote for a black person long as he's Democrat. I said, that means that we vote for issues.
Yes, sir.
You literally just conceded that now we vote for issues. So you can't even put that jacket on us. You can't even put that on us. But don't be deceived into thinking that we've all been on code. Don't be deceived into thinking that the popularity of Malcolm X, the resurgence of things like that, that the March on Washington represented that, okay, well, black folk as a group are on code. No, we had a March on Washington, which certainly moved the needle forward in a lot of ways. It certainly got the political establishment's attention. It certainly did. But that did not mean that all of us, or even most of us, were, quote, on code together. No. Malcolm X had debates.
Yes,
Malcolm X had, you can look this up on YouTube. They got him there. There was one interview outside of an airport, I think it was, and Malcolm X was talking, and the reporter turned right around and found a very conveniently placed Negro. Do you agree with him? And no, I think he wrong, and you teaching hate. Dude, you in the damn 60s. What you interpret or remember is the bad old days. There was another Negro standing right next to Malcolm. The reporter right there. Hey, do you agree with Malcolm? No, he preaching hate, and we just need to get along. It's always been that way. Malcolm X there were no end of black folk who were sitting up here wanting to debate and argue and this, that, and the other. They were just like, hey, if I can make it from home like a roach and scurry back home and not get shot by the police or gunned down, or if I can get my kid into a certain school, then white supremacy doesn't exist for me. See, there's the issue that you've had with that 1/3. There's been about a third of us who've been like, white supremacy doesn't exist for me. If I can get the dogs off of me, then white supremacy doesn't exist for me. And if it doesn't exist for me, then it doesn't exist. That's the issue we've been dealing with. Individuals who are like, well, as long as I'm cool and I'm good, well, white supremacy exists, but it don't exist for me. And if I can get on, well, I've done more distasteful things. So if the worst thing I got to do is give some little racist chick a pass, if that'll get me another 5,000 YouTube subscribers, well, I've done worse. Yes. And you know that from your personal life here. I challenge anybody, go to any of these real grocery stores. Go to a Kroger's and Albertsons, they just had a merger. Go to a Ralph's, go to a Giant in a black city. You're going to find some old black man working there. Usually going to be in the produce section. But you'll find them there. You want one of those stores that has a population, well, it's got a black population of black workers, but it's like in a white neighborhood. So you need like an Albertsons or Kroger's, something like that. And they're going to have somebody there, old Jimmy. Y'all know old Jimmy. Old Jimmy gonna come floating through there and whatnot. He's always the one sitting up here laughing with the wife. Hey, Miss Ann, how you doing over there? Hey, Miss Pearlydings, how you doing there, baby? Oh, how the grandkids doing?
That is so true.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you there, Jimmy. And how is your mother, Jimmy? Oh, her back throwed out a little bit there, but she's doing good, baby. I'm so glad you asked about that, baby. Okay, and then they get around their black co-workers. Y'all little lazy niggas back here. Now, he was just yucking it up with Miss Ann and Miss Ellie Mae. He was just yucking it up with them. But he gets around you and all of a sudden he wants to start straw bossing. So you've all seen him. Y'all all met him. He's that balding nigga. He's the nigga with the fro like built like a Cheerio. He's got the middle out. He's bald in the middle of the top. Y'all know that nigga? He's been growing the fro out, but he's bald in the back. So looks like a big black Cheerio on top of his head. Y'all know him.
Yes.
It's turning gray. Is a big gray Cheerio on top of his head. I'm just saying, so you've met him. He's sitting there. He's living in the same world as you. He's on the same streets as you. He's living the same life as you. He's like, hey, if I can get a pass, damn it, give me a pass.
Yes.
And worst of all, shameless. He's got no shame. He's not ashamed. He's not embarrassed. He has no shame in what he's doing. None. None at all. He's just sitting there doing that. So just recognize what you're looking at.
And that's the Passport Bros, like, in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and we got to understand, for those of you who don't want to hear this kind of talk, you'll be assaulted today. White folk know the reactions they built into you. They know you can't have a system of white supremacy that runs so efficiently and so accurately if they don't know what they're doing. So they know that. That's why they shut the Passport Bros down the damn weekend. Called up Brazil, said, hey, they talking bad about the women. We getting you. Next thing you know, whoop, silent. Yeah, that's how you know that's on code. So you're not doing anything they're not allowing you to do. So they're allowed to sit up here and get on YouTube and talk silly and talk stupid because it keeps the nonsense going, at least on their part of it. Here's the issue. They're not influential. They don't represent black men in general. They don't represent black men in part. They represent they represent a very small subset of failed males. And then they have an audience of other failed males because the internet is a place that feeds imagination and it feeds fantasy, particularly for women. It feeds fantasy for women more than anything else. Instagram models. How are you a model on Instagram? Somebody explain to me how the hell that works.
That's true.
How are you a model on Instagram?
That's true.
So they understand what they're doing. It's all calculated. It is deliberate. They know how to engender those reactions. They know that most black folks are just because they've been deprived of resources that most black folk are looking to get on as quickly as they can. They've sold them a dream that if you kiss white folks' asses on YouTube long enough, you can get on. Here's the real problem. You can't show me a single black person who's been elevated by valuetainment. You can't show me a single black person who's been elevated by just pearly things. King Riches and Auntie Jenny or whatever the hell their name is, they ain't pulling no weight. Neither one of them. I just showed y'all 3 days ago. They're getting 2,000 and 3,000 views, and Pearly gonna get 70% of what you make. Really? She's gonna get 80% of that. So she's gonna get 80% of 10,000 views. Wow. And I don't know what's worse, the fact that you're gonna give her 80% or the fact that you didn't know you could get that on your own. If you can't get at least 10,000 views on your own with that lame ass stuff you're doing over there, I'm skunking all of them. Didn't have to kiss no ass. Oh, but there's the problem. What if it's in your character to kiss their asses? Now what? If it is in your character and it is who you are as a person and a being to kiss their asses, now what? Now what? Because let's be clear, we're not talking about the best and brightest. It's not a brain trust. It's not like these are a bunch of geniuses over there. These are just a bunch of average, struggling folks sitting over there talking that nonsense. And that's why she can set them up, put a microphone in front of their faces and take what they got.
They look like celebrities. You're right.
Well, they don't look very glamorous either. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 704. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Quint.
Okay, Quint, your phone quit. Let's try again.
Look it up.
Okay. Try again, sir. We'll try one more time. Okay. That last time it sounded like somebody was slamming your head into a classroom desk. So it just sounded like clunk, clunk. I'm like, okay. I hope the repo man didn't catch up with him. Caller from area code 403. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, what's up? Hello?
Okay. Folks, don't call me up and with no, hey, what's up? I don't know you. I ain't trying to get to know you like that. It's, hey, folks, we're running a program here. Don't call me up. Hey, what's up? I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your mama. I'm not your brother. I'm not your uncle. Don't, hey, what's up me? I don't know you. You're calling in the program. Get to it. What'll happen if you don't? That right there. That's what'll happen. These folks sit up here and leave the damn pool hall or leave the damn trap house smoking on something on a Friday. Hey, I don't know you. I did tonight's program because I want to remind you all here that it's bigger than Pearly Things. It is much bigger. This is much bigger than her. I've been pointing out a number of different people, and I want you to be aware of who they are. So that going forward, you can't wait for somebody to say that slavery was exaggerated. I've shown you several people tonight who agreed with her that slavery was exaggerated, but as long as they know, well, don't come off and say that. Don't say that. And as long as we don't say that, then you'll have most of the population out there will let you have a pass. So they can keep saying the same things that she's saying. I've shown you tonight they're saying the same stuff she's saying. And yet, as long as they don't say slavery was exaggerated, we're overlooking it. Folks, I'm pointing them out now. So when their scandals break and when folks finally go ahead and get to that, next thing you know, they'll be acting like it's new. Well, Jason was talking about it years ago. He was talking about valuetainment years ago. Talking about trigonometry years ago. How is it anybody was waiting for that to come down? Okay, let me get here on Zoom. I think we got Jacob. Unmute yourself, sir.
Yep. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than just Pearly Things. Absolutely. And it's been going on for a while, and you've identified it. And yeah, it's been going on and on and on. And yeah, the big wigs at YouTube have been practicing their own form of I'm white and I say so, and they just boost whomever they want, whenever they want.
It's like the radio. The crazy part to me is people don't understand. This is just the radio station all over again. On the radio station, they choose who they want to. They play the same damn person 5-6 times an hour. Now you're over here on YouTube. You go to your front page. You're fed this. We're all fed the same people. Here comes Joe Rogan. Here comes Pearly Things. Here comes Valuetainment. Here comes CNN. Even if you've never listened to their programming or any of their content before like that, they're feeding it to everybody. They know what they're doing. So this is just the radio station all over again. If they want to make somebody popular, because out of 2 billion users on YouTube, 1 million subscribers, do you realize how simple and paltry that is? Out of 2 billion. Hell, they can give you 1 million folk in a weekend. And folk are acting like that's some major accomplishment. If it took you a year, if YouTube's boosting you in the algorithm and it takes you a year to get 1 million subscribers, you're trash.
The blessing in disguise is the exposure of the tether class, actually, which I belong to as well. I'm an immigrant, but you did that program already. I don't want to take it back to that, but that's been silver lining with all of this. That's what I think, because it's really exposed that underbelly that just really, really sad, because I mean, we're trying to join as a group. When we come in, we're trying to join white supremacy. We're not trying to test any authority whatsoever. So, well,
I mean, you heard that fella, you heard the young man calling in before. He talking about there's no racism. There's no white supremacy. Have you seen the condition of Somalia? Absolute abject poverty. And when you ask him, well, what's going on over there? Well, you see, the issue is the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds. Dude, are you the Jesuits and the Karens? Man, are you serious? Are you serious with this nonsense? Yeah, but here's the issue. What I'm saying is that is a criminal level of deflection. That is a complete rejection of your ancestors. He's over here saying he don't give a damn about his grandparents, great-grandparents, or nothing else. He's like, man, to hell with Somalia. I'm over here in Detroit. I'm in Chicago. Damn Somalia. Now that's treason. I'm not Somalian, but I'm just letting you know that attitude is treason. That's high treason to sit up here and have that attitude. He's like, yeah, man, damn Somalia. I'm over here in America because America got something that Somalia doesn't have. It's got a lot more something Somalia doesn't have. Well, we do have more money. No. I ain't worried about more money. Well, what does America have in large supply that Somalia doesn't? Plenty of white women. Oh, okay. Well, y'all got a lot more white women in America we got in Somalia. And he's like, man, I'm here for it. This is it. I'm in a hospital. Did you hear the first thing is I'm in a hospital and it's majority white? Don't you know he's sitting up here sniffing behind everyone he can? Shamelessly. He's like, man, look here. I'm out. This is it. I hit the jackpot. Sell my soul. Look here. 25 cents sold. Auction daily. shamelessly. And I'm just saying that's treason to anybody from where he comes from. He's basically saying, yeah, I've given everybody else up. I'm giving everybody else up. I'm rolling with them. And the crazy part is the folks he's kissing ass on, when his day comes, he's going to be the first one squealing, because it always comes. It always comes. Ask Stephen Clark. It always shows up. I'll let you have the last word.
Right on the money. Yeah, you're right on the money. Once again, you're doing God's work, Jason. I can't thank you enough. So keep doing what you're doing, and God bless you, man. Thank you. May the Lord bless you with many years to continue doing this wonderful work, man. Really appreciate you, and your mods too, everybody within the Black media. So I really appreciate you guys. Thanks,
Thank
Jason.
you very much for checking in with us here tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me go ahead and get over here on Blog Talk. Let me get caller from area code 306. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Name's Jasper. I'm from Calgary.
All right, Jasper from where?
Calgary.
Turn off your speakers, sir. Jasper from where?
Calgary.
All right. Jasper from Calgary.
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Calgary, okay. He's working on the English language, y'all. All right, Jasper from Calgary. What's on your mind?
I just want to talk about the housing thing you were talking about a while ago.
That's a bit off subject, but what exactly did you want to ask?
I just wanted to see what you thought about it.
I think the rent is too damn high. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 847. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Rob. I'm from Chicago.
Okay, Rob from Chicago. What's on your mind?
You know, what you just said, I want to address that, but I really called in to add to what you were saying to the sister who called, and she was talking about we were all together. And one thing she didn't point out was, at one point, this country had a lot of black slave owners. So that didn't seem like we were all together. When Marcus Garvey was doing his movement, you had E.B. Du Bois going against him.
Okay, brother, I don't know if you're at a Jamaican carnival or something. You got a lot of noise going on behind you, so I don't know what's happening back there or why you thought it was okay to call us from the Harlem Fair.
I'm outside, so it's like, hold on, give me it.
Okay, yeah, this is in modern society, we have something called an outdoors and indoors. It usually helps when we're not outdoors.
Yeah, I was outdoors. Do you hear me now?
Okay, brother, what exactly do you want to ask?
Yeah, and what I was saying was the sister didn't address the black slave owners. Okay, that doesn't seem like we were all together.
Okay, sir.
Marcus Garvey thing,
sir, that little canard that people keep trying to throw out there, that's really ridiculous to even do such a thing. So if you're even using the phrase black slave owners, that's already you kind of lost the plot.
Well, let me make my point, because I don't think you really heard what I was saying.
I heard what you were saying.
Because that doesn't seem like we were all together when you had individuals profiting off our pain. Okay, and people that look like us, people that look like me,
sir. That's the real thing. There is that's not something you can really quantify, but even still, to even use that phrase, that's really just a contrived phrase, sir. Maybe one of these days I'll do a program on my other channel talking about, because that's been debunked years and years ago. The only two things you need to know about that is, number one, we can't enslave white people. And you trying to hold that up as some type of indicator of who's on code and who's off code, sir, that doesn't even compute. That doesn't even compute to that. It really, really doesn't. It's not like it was some widespread practice. It's not like there were a bunch of folk doing that. That's literally not true. That's literally not.
That is true. That's very true. And you go ahead, you look at New Orleans, who had the most black slave owners throughout the U.S. Okay, but that wasn't my initial point. My initial point was what she said.
Sir,
we were all together.
here's the real issue here. If I allow silliness and nonsense to get promoted, because like I said, I guess this is Sambo night.
Wow.
This is Sambo night, I suppose. See, the problem with the internet is they start promoting Thomas Sowell talking points. They're very, very ignorant of facts and reality. They also don't put them in context. So if you don't have facts and reality
I was, if you let
and
me,
context.
I was putting it in context if you let me finish my point. You didn't let me finish.
Okay, we're not going to overtalk the host is not what you're going to do, especially when you're wrong. So he's getting really emotional when he does that. So, first of all, he needs to leave the carnival. But second of all, folks, here, like I say, the white supremacists love to try to trot out these little talking points. Just Pearly Things did it. Nick Fuentes did it. There's a number of them who try to trot out this fallacy of the black slave owners. They try to trot that fallacy out. And to anybody who even comes to me and repeats that phrase, I don't care what you got to say after that. You're off code and you're really off data when you even say things like that to begin with. These are white supremacist talking points. Because on the one side, these are white supremacist talking points. On the one side, they're trying to tell you, oh, there's a bunch of black slave owners. And yet, then on the other side, why is it that the white folks were the ones who were up in arms? If you had some wonderful group of black slave owners who were calling shots or whatever, why is it that only the white folk were up in arms? That one question right there tells you everything. It was the white folk who were up in arms. Show me the legislative bodies that had black folks showing up for the Confederacy saying, yeah, I want to hold on to my slaves. Show me the black slave owners who were part of the Constitutional Convention for the Confederacy. For those of you brain dead morons who didn't know, by the way, the Confederacy had a Constitutional Convention. They had their own constitution. They had a president, Jefferson Davis. They had a vice president, Alexander Stephens. Alexander Stephens, who wrote his famous cornerstone speech, who said that the cornerstone of the Confederacy was white supremacy. He said it. The vice president of the Confederacy said it in his cornerstone speech. You can look it up on Google. If you had a class of black slave owners, they would be in your slave owning states. Oh, congratulations, because I'm from Louisiana. Please tell me what part of the cornerstone speech applied to the black slave owners. Quote, the black slave owners. Tell me what part of the cornerstone speech applied to them. Tell me where they were tell me what didn't allow them to be victimized. Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. I'll save you all some time. It ain't there. It's a contradiction. But what they do try to do is they try to find some mulattoes somewhere. And they try to claim that if somebody purchased somebody, well, that was a slave owner. Then you ask them, by the way, show me the black plantations of all these slave owners. Yikes. When you tell them, show me the plantations that all these black slave owners owned. You know, something comparable to Monticello. Show me something comparable to George Washington. Show me something comparable to that. Conversation's going to get real sparse. Start naming them so we can go check them out. So as I said, facts, reality, and context. Don't let anybody sit up here and start deceiving you about the facts, reality, and context. When I can sit up here and show you what the Confederacy in its literature, in its constitution, the people who founded the Confederacy, what they said. Tell me what, quote, black slave owners were making out under that environment. When the vice president of the Confederacy is literally telling you we're setting up, the Confederacy is founded on the concept of white supremacy. And he used the phrase. Don't worry, Nick Fuentes will get real quiet. See, there's a reason why certain individuals they won't allow certain individuals to call in. Bring in Nick Fuentes, leave him by himself. Don't get somebody who knows something. Go over there and go get Abba and Preach and the lead attorney. But don't come over here and talk to Jason Black about that. It goes bad real fast. Don't worry, Nick and Pearly Things over there right now Googling away furiously. When they look this up and find out it's there, it's all going to be one great big ass, oh. Well, yeah, well, can we just get off that subject altogether? Caller from area code 213, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
John from Fargo.
Okay, John from Fargo, what's on your mind?
Would you equivalent this to the burn pits you spoke about a week ago?
when these coons are leading us to the direction of pretty much a piping hot, simmering burn pit.
Yeah, sure. Equivocate. Equivalent. Caller from area code 306. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Jasper again from Calgary.
Okay, Jasper from Calgary. He's working on it. Call us back next week, Jasper. Caller from area code 434. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay. Sounds like everybody who has been trying out, everybody on lean on Friday night is trying to stumble their way to a telephone. So I have open lines, but it sounds like all the fellas, they done hit their lean. And let me call up. Let me drink this. Yeah, my name is Jake. My name is Jake. What's on your mind, Jake? Yeah, I like gummy bears. I really like gummy bears. And yeah. What's your show again? So yeah, it kind of turns into that. If you stay up too late on a Friday, it kind of turns into that. Kind of turns into gummy bear nights. Yeah, my name is Tito. Hello? Hello? Yes, Tito. Where are you calling from? This is Tito from El Segundo. Hello? Tito, damn it! What's on your mind? Yeah, I like tacos. And do you think, did they have tacos on the plantation? Because if they didn't, that's messed up, Jason. Call from Miracle 626. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Logical Facts calling out of Urbana, Illinois.
Logical Facts out of Urbana. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to commend you again on another great broadcast and bringing in this point of the algorithms, and again the big involvement by our well, here, I'll just go ahead and say it since we are here, by some of our Jewish peoples, because what they're doing is primarily the same thing as they've done before. They come in, they see an opportunity for an opening because of some kind of vacuum, and they continue to try and manipulate and curve us to their will. And we've seen this. Look, I mean, if you look at what's even been happening within our education system, within even with the civil rights, all it is that they always want to try and pull in, oh, okay, let's make sure we're including Israel with this, or let's make sure we're including transgender with this. So it's always a matter of them trying to primarily infuse themselves with whatever struggle we are in. And if something tragic happens with us, they expect in the same breath to something for something to be mentioned when they do something. So, I mean, again, when you're talking about this stuff with Pearlie, just look, I mean, again, she is somebody who is just a pure opportunist. These other two brothers are coming in, they're just pure opportunists. And because black people are so starving for attention because of this social media, they have now split into... I'm sorry?
No. I want to clear this. I want to clear this up tonight. I mentioned this before earlier. I want to say this again to anybody who didn't get the memo the first time. Pearlie Things is not an opportunist. Pearlie Things is not a grifter. Pearlie Things is a
90 seconds.
She's a white supremacist capitalizer, but she's not an opportunist. To say that she's an opportunist is to say, well, she's just trying to capitalize on a market. What she's doing might be distasteful, but her heart isn't really in it. So she sees an opportunity and she's seizing the opportunity. And what I'm saying is words have meaning. So when we use words like opportunist, okay, this heifer's making me upset. When you use words like opportunist or words like grifter, what that does is that's separating her from the racist tendencies, even if that's not your intent. That's why I'm taking this moment to tell everybody I did this program in the last 3 to update the lexicon, that we need to remove from the lexicon those words when you're talking about the pearly things, the trigonometries, the Patrick Bet Davids. They know exactly what they're saying and exactly what they're talking about. They know exactly what they're doing. White supremacy isn't a sideline for her. The fact that we can go back a year and find her doing videos big up in Thomas Sowell and Candace Owens and the alt-right and minimizing slavery, that's your proof that this is what she's been on the whole time. And this relationship stuff was merely a vehicle to find something that would catch traction so she could eventually bring in what she really wanted to talk about. So if being the, quote, whitest girl in the world, where she started talking about race, in case people forgot. When she first came out, she was promoting herself as the whitest girl in the world. Then, because that didn't catch on, that's when she starts trying out different things until eventually she comes to this red pill thing. And she's like, okay, this red pill thing will give me a bunch of men behind me. The red pill is actually a white movement, not a black one, but it'll help me get a channel that's big enough. And then these things I've been taught subroutining in the background, these subroutines I've been running in the background, I'll start easing those in under the guise and the justification that we're just having an open dialogue. You're having an open dialogue with white supremacists about white supremacy, which is what you've been drip, drabbing the whole time. You were just trying to get a vehicle big enough to get this thing to move. Now that you got a vehicle big enough to move it, now you're starting to turn. She thought she was turning the volume up slowly. The only problem is there was somebody actually listening this time.
And Mr. Black, I agree with you 100% on that. And forgive me, the reason I said the thing about a grifter, to me, the grifter, the people, the shammers, those are the smartest people that are in the room. Those are the people that go out there and they consciously know what they're doing. Just like with, when whites came over to the continent of Africa, they knew it was like, wait a second. So you're going to let us take a human being for us giving you a couple things that you've never seen before? So it was always about the scammer. It was always about the conniver. Those are the most dangerous people because, see, those are the people who will smile in your face, walk into your house, and then kill your children. And when I say that, I mean it in a metaphorical sense. But that's exactly what it was. These are people who was like, oh, yeah, well, here, we're doing the best. We're doing the best. But they're not. They're doing the worst for our community. And they'll continue to. But because they use a very nice, kind voice, or they say, oh, well, you know what? Oh, you've done great. They are willing to give up almost everything just for that moment of attention.
Well, I would disagree with you in one regard. You're saying that you meant that they would take your life metaphorically. No, I mean literally. Now, they would be too cowardly to do it themselves, but they would certainly stand back and let the white supremacists have their way. They would certainly do that.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And like I said, here, I'm just going to continue to sit back and listen. I want to thank you, man. Again, continue pushing this stuff out there. I'm over here. I'm older than you, but guess what? I'm going to tell you. I've been pushing this stuff since I was in my teens. So I appreciate being able to hear this from you. And please continue to push it as far and wide as it goes. It seems like you're starting to hit all the continents. That's what we're looking for. So I land my plane there. Peace, brother.
Well, definitely, like I say, I want everyone to understand that it's not accidental. It never was. This has never been an accidental thing. Do not believe or fall for the misconception that she didn't know it's opportunism. It's a grift. Those are soothing little diversions and distractions and lies that people keep saying in order to not have to acknowledge what I played here tonight. When she was on trigonometry, she told them, oh no, Nick Fuentes is not a racist. No, Nick Fuentes is not a racist. My staff doesn't think he's a racist, even though this video of King Rich is saying, I told her, Nick Fuentes is a racist. Okay. This is what she's always been on. That's what it's always been about. So to call her a grifter is to minimize the racism and to say she's just saying that for the money. No, she's saying it because she believes it. She's saying it because she believes it.
They often, but that's what they control.
I don't even think that she's some kind of supremacist. I think she's some kind of
control people.
I just don't buy it. I never did. At the end of the day, do I think she's some kind of race supremacist? No, I don't. Do I think she's a grifter? Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I don't think she believes half the stuff that she says that comes out of her mouth.
And if you talk like that, then you're trying to condone what she's doing because she believes what she's saying. The whole point is to find Negroes who are too scared to confront it, because once you say that, now you got to take white supremacy by the horns and say, okay, now I got to fight it. That puts you in the crosshairs. But for those who come from cultures where they appease white supremacists, shout out Somalian Sambo, well, they appease white supremacists, so getting lashes on their backs, they're used to it. They're like, hey, getting lashed up by them is just part of the game, you know? But when you start trying to call her a grifter, the next thing you say is, it goes hand in hand with, oh, she doesn't really believe those things. And she's literally up here telling you that she believes it. Yes, oh, no, he's not a white supremacist. No. What are you talking about? He's not a white supremacist.
A guy we would ever have on because he's a racist, Holocaust denying piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. But you had him on and then you took that interview down and apologized. So what happened with that whole thing?
Oh, I can't talk too much. There's like legal things going on.
There's legal things going on.
Yeah, there's not with Nick, but just but there's I have a video coming out about that whole thing. So you guys have to wait for the video. Well, but I will say I did not find Nick to be racist. My staff actually did not find him to be racist.
Wait, he was talking to an Italian girl next to you and saying that she shouldn't have a black boyfriend or something along those lines.
He doesn't believe in. See, I don't really want to go into like the race mixing stuff.
There she is playing attorney for him, and she's literally saying he's not racist. She didn't say he's not racist. I don't think he's racist. That's not her being ignorant. She's not naive. That's not a grift. That's what she really believes. And anybody trying to argue otherwise is trying to figure out how they can play the game. But that's what she truly believes. Understand, this interview was done way after we blew up the spot with the scandal. This interview was done way after. This was done a few days ago. And she's saying it a few days ago. Nick Fuentes is not a racist. I don't think he's a racist. My staff doesn't think he's racist. What she really means is her family. She's really talking about Candace Owens' manager. That's the staff. Everybody